Well, I had 1.
Yeah, 1 is better than 0.
Yeah.
I've never played BDO. That's one of the ones I didn't play. But like when I played ESO, I think World of Warcraft overall is a better game than ESO. I think that it's a more complete game in a lot of ways. But I had a lot of fun with ESO, and there were things in ESO where I was like, I thought that the gear in ESO was, I didn't really like the gearing system that much, but there was stuff that I had fun with.
Morning.
And you can look at that, and just because the game isn't as popular as World of Warcraft doesn't mean that there aren't a few things.
Well,
that
morning stream action.
For the most part, though, ESO does feel like a completely
different game. Dollcraft right now, just to hear what these guys got to say.
By all means, steal shit from PoE instead of stealing shit from Diablo.
Pretty much, we're talking about how we steal good ideas right now.
Diablo,
which,
Blizzard, please stop
I mean, listen.
I played this season.
This worked in the past.
Man, and
this works in the past, so I'll take it.
And
hope they keep it up.
I was playing with a friend, and I still couldn't make myself have fun with it. I really think after playing PoE, it's tough to play that game.
Well, what about? I mean, Esfond, obviously, you've probably had the alpha for a while. You've done Torghast, right?
I was waiting to do Torghast until the Paladin stuff came in, and then I just got swamped with like guild stuff. And
it is
Esfond
really,
has
really
not
good.
used his key.
Torghast is going to be one of those things, you know.
I think Blizzard should pass it to me because clearly Esfond isn't using it.
WoW for
silly.
Like that's why they played WoW, and I hope that Torghast actually goes into being the same thing. And,
I deserve
really
it as much as the.
Like all the
I don't know. Right now, I'd actually play the alpha probably, but that would take away from my class. I'm just finally ramping up in classic, so let's probably stick with it. Stick with it.
And it's more fun now.
Stick with it, stick with
it. Yeah. I mean,
it had like 20 minutes where it was terrible too, and they instantly changed it, which was the best feeling ever. Yeah.
I watched a little bit of Quinn do it. I watched some of Preach do Torghast. I don't think I got to watch you do it because I was asleep, because my sleep schedule is terrible now. But yeah, that's how it goes. But no, I got a chance to watch
saw
it,
that Preach interview.
So I'm excited. I mean, I really
that was a dope interview. I think that
I think it's gonna be good.
I don't disagree with Ian quite as much as Preach. But I appreciate that he so like clearly disagreed with him. Body language and everything. It's weird to see it happen in live, in real time like that. That was a fun thing about it.
Right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got Shadowlands coming out. The expansion looks genuinely promising.
That was
it's not like I'm paid to say that. And you know,
hey, I'm not.
You're certainly not either, are you?
I think some of it looks pretty good.
Yeah. There you go. Hey, Boyser, do you hear that? So I know. I think it actually looks really good. And then you got TBC coming out.
Poor Rich.
How do the people? Obviously, you're talking with your classic guild all the time.
It feels bad.
What's their read on Shadowlands whenever they talk about it? I'm sure they bring it up.
I think I'm gonna make a guild in because whenever I was playing retail, I was in your guild, but like just casually, right, just like hanging out.
You make
I think I'm gonna make a retail guild, and we're not gonna play it like super serious, but there's enough people in my guild who want to get a raid team together, maybe 2 raid teams, and just go have some fun with Shadowlands. And I mean, we'll be raiding classic, and then we'll flip, and we'll probably have like a raid night on retail too, and just do fun stuff, right? Because I think things are gonna change. Like right now, like I said, I'm ranking, so I have like ranker brain, and my room is a mess more than usual actually. So it's been bad lately, but whenever everything's flipped.
It's not. I can tell. Like last time I went over to Esfond's house, or whenever you were living at the old house, and I had to like tiptoe. There was like individual little spots that I had to walk in. It's like imagine like a dungeon or something like that you have to do. And there's like
man lives in a dungeon.
And then
that's
everywhere
never
else
good.
is lava.
I remember I had to clean up for the show. Okay, I wanted to clean up for the show. I'm gonna come.
Everything else is lava, son. Hold on.
I stand corrected.
I'll never forget the first time we went over to I was like, there was no furniture.
Subway? Yeah.
It was just, there were just like wrappers and wires everywhere, and no furniture. And I was like, oh, dude, did you like just move? And he's like, no, I've been here for a few months. I was like, where do you sleep?
Yeah, the air mattress.
That's good.
Yeah. I didn't have a bed. I had an air mattress that I slept on.
Do she? That was a harder fight than I expected it to be.
The looked good, so everything
just let it go.
That's all that matters to me.
The
only thing that matters to me is what is right.
That was the entire point.
Look, I don't even care anymore.
That's the way I feel. I mean, my whole other room is like a complete mess, but like this exact frame is not as bad as the other.
Not good.
So,
yeah, I understand. Like, I took a few days
I could probably do
off
myself a favor here, actually.
Ooh, sketchy. I was looking away
from playing retail.
What happens when you watch a little bit of old craft with your stuff?
20 pounds now.
Or
I
20.
can squat like
you cannot.
I can squat like you know, like
700.
You know,
give or take.
Just I don't count. You know, I just put up plates. You know,
just all
like
the plates.
I
feel it.
Making a lot
Isn't that how we all work out?
Numbers get so high, who's counting?
Yeah, more girls. You know.
So you get the perfect.
But yeah, ultimately,
I want to physique that we all have.
Table.
Everybody.
Just kind of get our opinion on it because there are a lot of systems coming out.
Yeah.
When we talk about Shadowlands, I don't think we've ever seen so many systems get released.
Hi, Delilah.
A lot of the new systems
Shout
are tied to covenants, which could be. I think that maybe that's where a lot of the concern
She won't
is.
watch this, but if she does,
have existed for a while. This is a refinement of a system, not an addition of a new system. It seems like we all agree that this is maybe a step in the right direction.
I am of zero interest to my child as far as Warcraft. She likes the game, kind of.
Talk about that already.
She doesn't like to watch me play it, that's for sure.
I don't know, maybe a few cosmetic.
I gotta get better. I gotta work on my entertainment value, you know? I gotta go, woo! Yeah! When I die, I gotta scream, jump up, run around the room. Gotta get to it, man. I wanna be good.
And
I want to
maybe
be
give
good.
people like maybe bind.
This actually turns into just like a cathartic video log when I stream now. I just talk to myself. It's kind of like I'm just letting it all out. It's quite wonderful.
More contemporary stuff. Maybe
it's really early in the morning. It's not,
I don't
but
think that really is going to break.
It's early enough.
It still creates a little incentive for people to go the extra mile.
Most people are sleeping
it's just like 2 world quests. So it's kind of, you know,
most
one half
people are
dozen
sleeping
to the other, you know, 6 half dozen.
Let's see, did I tweet?
Anything in particular you want to see, S-Fan?
See my sick tweet.
For what exactly in Shadowlands?
No, I'm saying the rewards for the table missions.
Oh, rewards for table missions?
Yeah. Is there anything that you want to see as a reward?
I think that's hard to say, right? Because I think that gold and some of these other things that are more simple in what you've been getting so far is it seems trivial to me in retail. I feel like gold is not like what is like the one thing that you can think of that you want gold for in BFA?
I'm linking the stream.
So I think that
buying corrupted gear.
If they made gold more valuable, with whatever they can think of, right? It could be another mount, it could be other stuff. I think gold would be something that's simple and nice. But anything like really cool and specific, maybe some kind of appearance or something like that. Like some
you
like
actually touched on what my idea was, so I'm kind of curious about how you feel about it, because I also feel the same way about gold, and I've always thought that professions are really the potential way to stimulate the economy and actually make the economy feel fun again and feel real, kind of like it did in Classic WoW, right? I think a lot of people agree the Classic WoW economy is one of the things that remains strong about the title to this day, even 15 years later. Yeah. When I look at the missions, and I'm sure that people at Blizzard would have data on this if there's a big overlap between the people who still engage with professions a whole bunch, I would love if the auto battler, if the table missions, whatever you want to call it, if they really focused on crafting and getting you more stuff to actually craft flasks, food, whatever your actual profession is, having it geared towards that. So
kind of like how we had the garrison with the garrison, the mine and the garden, but instead of that, you get those same resources through the auto battler.
But just a phone table. Game. Yeah, if they're gonna put it in the game, just don't actually take people away from the game when they would be playing it, right? Like with the garrisons, think about the amount of time it actually took. Like you had to do everything in your garrison.
My mom was like, she was doing like 8 garrisons. I'm not even kidding you, dude. And she would go in that mine and mine out ore. And I remember like I asked her because I needed some ore to make a transmog like belt or something. And I need Blackrock ore, mommy. I don't have enough. I don't want to spend my money. And she's like, okay, how much do you need? And I'm like, I don't know, 500.
Turn into the Asmon sad channel.
Like 3,000. And she's like, okay, well send me back whatever you don't need. You know, I needed to get rid of this anyway.
Mom,
like,
Mom comes in with a boss offering, man.
To try to get ore.
Yeah, fuck it. I want to make a transmog belt, Mom. I gotta do this. This stream's gonna make fun of me if I don't have this belt. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of really good things coming out of Shadowlands. Like, and that's one thing that
he took enlisted mom celebrate all the way into the virtual world is perfect. There's
obviously gonna be some people that are gonna hate anything Blizzard does, but for
cannot hate on that. You want to hate on it, but you can't.
People, I think that
you're mad about that.
It's perfect. They're playing. And
it's well done.
Playing, and they see what's coming out in Shadowlands.
You know how boring grinding ore is? It's a lot less boring if someone else does it.
I think always happens for the most part, right?
There's
always going to be like a lot of hype around any new expansion coming out. But you said a lot of guys. That does make me want to bring up one thing that I just heard. I'm not even sure if it's true. I heard it on your stream.
Mana Potion stuff pretty good too.
Said it.
But man,
are you actually going to be able to change your gender now at the barbershop?
Yeah. Yeah, they're letting you change your gender at the barbershop. I'm actually surprised they're doing that because it used to be a like a thing that you'd pay for, but I guess they probably weren't having a lot of people pay for it. Like, some people are saying it was like an SJW thing. Like, I don't really think anybody cares. Like, that's really the fact is, like,
it's weird that it's at the barbershop. I won't lie to you. It's strange that it's at the barbershop.
I think that it's different because those actually affect the community and like the economy and like this like social structure of the game to an extent. But if you want to be a dude one day and a girl the next,
if you want to be a dude one day and a girl the next,
like, I don't think it matters one way or another.
It really
I
doesn't.
think like a lot of people react to it like strongly because it's
it 100% doesn't matter.
You've never been able to
it's not shocking
in the game. Like,
whatever. Yeah.
You know, like if you were going to be weird.
It's weird they gave up a paid service. It is very weird they gave up a paid service. They do not do that very often.
I like it a lot. Because I
love that. I think they have a few too many paid services. In fact, I don't think that's where they really make their money either. I think it's just a ancillary thing.
I like it too, actually, because
but the cost of like a server and character transfer combined, or like
the thing that I'm most attracted to,
faction change and a server change or something.
And if there's one thing that would be more attractive to me.
That's expensive transactions. Cost same as the whole damn game.
Switch for like 15-20 minutes and then switch back and
like buying a new game.
I saw the Tifa cosplay, brother.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be.
I can't wait to be roommates.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's. I think it's good. I mean, like.
I should go check on the child. Make her watch my stream.
I like the idea of like there being a certain amount of money that you have to pay for like faction and like server transfers, because I think it's like a barrier for people to not just do it all the time. If it was up to me,
I need a lot of them,
I would have never allowed faction transfers. I don't think that's been good for the game. But overall, like where we're at now, like, yeah, sure, if they want to do a gender change, who cares?
Yeah. I was saying this even with the Mechanomes. I thought that the Mechanomes were the lamest thing ever when they were first put in the game. I was like, man, Diaper Gang, not for me. I was
Diaper Gang, not for me.
And then Roderin in your transmog competition,
how he's all into
pulled out the 6th transmog ever. With he looked like one of the League of Legends characters.
Yeah, but let's not pretend, okay? Mechanomes still look fucking stupid, okay? Like, yeah, Radaran came out with a really, really good transmog. He's a gnome warlock.
Jesus.
And yeah, it was awesome.
Everything.
But 95% of the other Mechanome transmogs suck. So
yeah, but look at real life. Every now and then, I put on a shirt that looks pretty stupid, but it's like, oh man, that's fun. It's summer, for example. You know, you're having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like with Mechanomes, every now and then, you kind of want to look a little bit dumb and have fun in the game. You know,
that's actually what I'm poisoned, just in case I don't get my ass kicked.
I think that Mechanome, instead of it being
soft.
a full-on
having a lot less HP,
game, I'd be much more excited if those were customizations that you could have just added to gnomes, for example, right? Like, I do think being able to have more control over how your character looks more frequently isn't necessarily a bad thing for the game, especially when transmog already exists.
Yeah, it's not really that big of a deal. I'm glad they made that change, and there's a few other things too. I was honestly more surprised by it because Blizzard was opting to not make money from something. They added another store mount today. Did you guys see that?
Oh, I saw it.
Yep. And so, fucking bullshit game, man. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, this time around, I didn't. And I think I think they did this shit on purpose. I think they asked me to be in this alpha, like this special server, to distract me. So they think that they think they get that storm out fucking under my nose, man. They wouldn't see it. Yeah, like, what?
Oh, there's a new storm out.
The YouTube video was unlisted.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
It was, dude. I actually, usually I don't buy into conspiracies, but this time I actually.
Yeah, they're like, here, we'll distract Asmongold, put out another storm out.
I'm sure it was just for him. That makes sense.
I used to not care so much. And I think that there was.
I still don't care.
I think there's a legitimate
argument. Put as many storm mounts out as you want. If you want to buy storm mounts and that helps support the game, fuck.
Paying for something you're already going to pay for.
Give it.
Why not? Right? I think that's a fair argument. But the thing that
I know they don't really need that support. I don't want to. I ain't trying to get into the semantics of the debate anyway.
That hey, we coincidentally have things on a cycle that goes just slightly longer than the cost of one subscription. So then you have to sub for 2 months to what's the thing?
Corruption
dude,
vendor.
It's 6 months.
Corruption vendor right
yeah,
now?
it's 6 months, dude. It's so obvious. Like they just want people to stay subbed while the game's still bad.
They did this shit back in Cataclysm. Like you guys might have forgotten
every
this.
expansion.
They did like the annual sub, and if you did your annual sub,
I'm not really sure why
you
people
got free Diablo 3 because they knew the game was going to be dog shit for the next year. So they just thought to themselves like, really early on in Dragon, so they're like, let's just lock these fuckers into a whole year, and that way it doesn't matter if they complain because they're paying us money anyway. And you got the fucking you got Tyrael's Charger with it too. And Diablo 3. And so the first thing I said, I'm like, you know what? My dad doesn't need this money. I'm gonna be playing the game for the next year. I just signed my dad up for my annual sub, and I got my mount. And so they've been doing this for a long time.
It works.
I mean, I remember the first time that they actually added the Celestial Steed or whatever it was actually called, and I was actually excited. I remember waiting in the virtual line. I don't know if you guys remember
virtual line.
No, because I didn't buy it.
Yeah, my mom was standing there next to me and she goes, "Do you really need this, Richard? Do you really need this, Richard?" I was like, I need them. Everybody's gonna have it. And we waited in the virtual line, and I was so excited. And then over time, you start to realize what's happening. Yeah. You start to realize what's happening. And this one in particular, like when you looked at the first storm out, it seemed like it probably was something that was going to drop off of Algalon. Yeah. You look at this one, and it's just so clear that was something that was going to drop out of Mechagon, and then they have the video as well. That's straight up Mechagon. What a hyped up Mechagon.
It's like, wow, dude, what quests can I do to get this? Is there an achievement? Is there a rare spawn I need to kill? Oh, no. And then, you know what my favorite thing about this whole thing is, right? Is that people told me it's free. It's $77.
Oh yeah, I saw them. They were typing in your chat. They were going, bah,
"It's free."
Bah,
yeah. I don't know, man. Like at this point, like the storm mounts, I'm gonna complain and get pissed off about every single one of them. But I think they're not doing them quite as often now, and it is what it is. I mean, I'm still gonna get mad though. Every single time.
When was the last storm out?
I think they've added 3 or 4 total in BFA.
But how many months ago was the last 6-month storm out?
Oh fuck, dude, probably 6 months ago.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They did a lot in this expansion because I think that the free mentality was the last one the Dreadwake. Is that the last 6 months?
I think there was another one after the Silverian Dreamer.
Rat?
I remember.
The Silverian Dreamer wasn't a 6 month though, was it? I thought that was just a storm out.
It was, and I refused to redeem.
I thought Squeaker the Rat was.
I would not redeem them out.
Okay, yeah, you didn't have the Silverian Dreamer though because of 6 months. I sent it to you. I sent it to you like 3 times.
No, I have the 6 months. I have a 6 month recurring all the time.
Yeah, but I think Squeaker the Rat. I could be wrong. I think Squeaker the Rat was the 6 month one.
I think the fuck knows, man.
Which is actually funny. He's cool, dude. It's like riding around on Quinn. They should have added voice lines to it. Get off me! What the heck? Pussy my ass! That'd be great, dude. Like all his little wings.
Well, I guess like one thing I'm curious, right? That's fun. You play a lot of Classic, obviously. What's one thing besides Torghast that you're excited for the most in Shadowlands?
I mean, arenas. I don't know what happened recently. Maybe it's because I've been like hanging out with Mitch a little bit. I've gotten this weird arena itch coming back, and I'm like, dude, that's the big thing that I miss about I guess host Classic that Classic doesn't have is there's the PvP and stuff is fun for me. I very much enjoy doing ABs and battlegrounds and stuff like that. But having a ladder with a rating and having like your little team, I love retail arenas, right? And I think right now it's kind of a mess with corruption and all that. And Mitch has been trying to get me to play with him, and I might a little bit before, like in pre-patch or whatever. Mitch and I might do some arenas together. But that's the big thing for me is I'm just excited for playing arenas come Shadowlands and also been fixing all the corruption problems.
So Dan, go ahead.
No, I may have missed. So you said Mitch gave you the itch?
Yeah, which I mean is probably not the first time.
Yeah. This roommate situation's gonna get weird real quick, dude.
That's a wild house you guys got set up here. Okay. Oh my god. Well,
the law, baby.
Yeah.
The law.
I think that honestly, like, I think Arena is gonna be better in Shadowlands than it is now. And it's like every expansion, I think we said this last time you were on, even that's fun we talked about this. It's like every expansion we say to ourselves, this is the worst Arena's ever been. It can't get worse than this. And like now we're at the point where, like, I don't know if you watched the Rextroy video, this dude stacked up like 18 or 27 infinite stars. So he had rank 3 infinite stars on every single thing that he had, and he would just dumpster. He one-shot people, and he got up to 2,500. 24 is glad. Yeah,
and that's not even a bug, right? Like that wasn't even
that's the way the game's
working as intended.
Yeah, it's wild. But I mean, like, so they had an interview today, and they said they're not going to have a PvP specific stat because we saw data mined earlier that there might be something like PvP power, there might be something resilience, but they're not going to have that. I don't know how I feel about that. Oh, no. I'm concerned. What?
Yeah, no, I was saying, like, how do you feel about that?
I don't know. Like, I mean, because you have like the two different like schools of thought. I like being able to PvP to get really good PvE gear. I like the idea of somebody being an accomplished raider, being able to go in and compete in PvP because they have good raiding gear. And I also, conversely, like the idea of an accomplished PvPer, like a gladiator or something like that, being able to go into a raid and be able to play well in that raid because they have the other way. And like having that overlap, I think is healthy for the game because it encourages crossplay. And in all the best points in time in the game, at least in my mind, everybody, people are saying no in chat. I get that. Wasn't Burning Crusade this terrible game? Wasn't Wrath of the Lich King the thing that we all hold in such high esteem, and Cataclysm we hold in such high esteem?
Hey, remember when you didn't need to get gear for PvP and then everybody instantly cried to have gear back?
Yeah.
I feel like
that's
the actual memory, it's so easy to forget everything that's historically happened with PvP. But in Legion, we had stat templates, and every single person can play.
Theoretically, people want a fair fight until they suck, and then they want to be able to outgear the other guy.
It's an MMORPG. Look, I used to actually host arenas, and I used to host the Arena World Championship.
Really? That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And one of the things that I'll always say about esports is that the game should not be balanced around the esport. The format should do the balancing to make it a fair fight. The game should not be ruined because of the esport. That goes for dungeons, that goes for arena, that goes for every single aspect of the game, because it is very easy to focus on your esport and just destroy your entire IP. Dude. It's happened not only in World of Warcraft.
I'm worried about that happening with dungeons, man. Go ahead, have fun.
I'm worried with Wargas too.
I was gonna say, like, I have talked about exactly what you're saying, Rich, for literally for years. To me, there was like a point in time where there was like a definitive drop in how PvP and just how the game worked, the balance of the game between PvP and PvE and what people enjoyed. Whenever MLG was a big thing, and then all of a sudden like WoW was trying to become an esport and everything was like balanced around trying to make this game an esport. Sure, some good things came out of it, like and I didn't play the season, but was it season 9 of Wrath that everybody says was like the best arena season ever?
Season 8 of Wrath. Season 8 and 7, I think, were some of the best. Season 9 was Cataclysm, and that was also good.
Right, so season 8 of Wrath.
Fun story about MLG, by the way. I used to work there.
Did you get fired from there too?
Yeah, but once Blizzard owned it,
sorry, that's fine. Keep going. Dude. Yeah,
that worked. But yeah, no. Burning Crusade was the exact same thing, right? People taking PVE gear and using it in PvP. People taking PvP gear and using it in PvE. Whether that was like taking advantage of set bonuses or whatever else. I don't like PvP stats. I do not like resilience, or I didn't like resilience back then. I don't like PvP power. I don't like any of that. I think that when they make PvP gear and PvE gear, it should be about how the itemization points are allocated. A lot of how itemization, gearing, and WoW works nowadays, it's like hyper optimized, right? You have an item level, and because you have this much item level, you have this much stamina, and then this much strength, intellect, agility, whatever it is, right? And then you have the secondary stats that are a lot of times random, right? I don't like that. I like that if I get a piece of gear in PvP, maybe it has more stamina, maybe it has more agility, and because I have more agility, I have more dodge, or maybe like the green stats that it has, the secondary stats that it has are more like PvP oriented. But I don't really like I don't really like resilience. I don't like PvP power. I don't like having these PvP specific stats, and then I can't use the gear to like playing the game one way doesn't make me better at playing the game the other way. Where I think if you're playing an MMORPG, like you said, Rich, I want to play the whole game. The best that I can possibly be should be by doing everything I possibly can.
And this is a vision that's shared by Blizzard. They've even said this, that in order, if you want to be just a PvPer, you can be just a PvPer. But there might be a couple of things that you can get out of a Mythic Plus or out of a raid or out of some other type of content that could make you a little bit stronger. And I actually think...
I agree with Chad on that.
That's how it should be.
Right
you can't? Can't what?
You can't do that right now. Like, it's impossible to do that right now.
Well, I think they should have it... Well, that's why they're adding back vendors. And I'm really excited about having vendors and actually having gear sets. That's one thing I'm really concerned about, though, is in Burning Crusade, they just kind of let it happen. And if you guys remember back in BC, whenever it came out, if you were in a raiding guild, you would save up your arena points, and you would spend your arena points after, like, Karazhan or after SSC. And if, like, okay, well, the legs didn't drop from, you know, whichever boss dropped them, like Fathom or Carathis or something like that. Well, if they didn't drop, well, okay, that's fine. I'll just go and, you know, buy my thing anyway, and I'll buy it from the arena vendor, and I have like kind of the ghetto version of the tier 5 legs or tier 4 legs or whatever they are. And I actually really like that system. I thought that was good, but it's going to be really hard for Blizzard to balance it considering how much loot is in the game, which is something they're also trying to minimize, but it's going to be hard to do.
Yeah, that actually leads into what I was going to jump back to too, because as S-Fan, you brought up like 30 good points in the last thing you said, and you know, you talk about the overabundance of loot. I think that's like, that's what Aspen just said. The overabundance of loot, huge problem. It's like that is a very big problem in the game. But also, you talked about what particularly interested me was when you started to talk about the different ways that gear is itemized now, because I think that some of that itemization should definitely be cleaned up, even just with versatility, right? Like, I think versatility is the least fun stat ever, and this is like the one time, folks, that I'll ask you a question seriously without a poll, and want to see what you say, because I feel like everybody's going to agree on this. Does anybody get excited when they get versatility on their gear, even if it is the upgrade? Does anybody enjoy getting versatility on their gear?
I do.
It's kind of a boring stat for me.
I do.
You actually have fun with it.
So I have so much versatility now. So many sockets on my gear. So many corruptions to increase versatility.
isn't ready yet.
And I'm back. Kind of stuffy this morning, man. Got that knee talk. Assault. Assault. Listen. Shit. Just wanna go over here. Off me bats. Get the duck off me bat. Yeah.
Versatility. So much versatility on damage taken that I can't die. And so if I get versatility, more versatility, it's funny for me, I don't need to do damage because I'm gonna win anyway. Like, I just did arenas and I would RP walk at people and they'd just be pumping damage into me and it wouldn't do a fucking thing because I had 78% verse. It was awesome. So like, yeah,
there's a lot of versatility.
It's the game, by the way, I want to say one thing. It shouldn't work that way.
It's a lot of versatility.
But it does. And until they get rid of it, I'm going to do it.
Well, go back to classic though, for example, right? I mean, and I don't think classic is perfect by any means.
No,
I think the idea of having a chase piece that you want in all the different aspects of the game, I think that's awesome. It's like, man, I really want this trinket in raid, man, dungeons. There's an overarching meta reward where there's a really strong weapon that I get maybe for PvP. PvP is a PvE or it has
not a carry.
I like that a lot, and then you're able to get 90% of the work done playing.
Apparently, ultra low latency today is
bad. But there were some interesting things in classic wise where you're raiding MC and even your tier set, you're like, oh yeah, I'm a main. I do not want the chest for raid, but I really do want it for PvP right now. And there's that dynamic of, oh, I'm still getting PvP here as I'm raiding, and there are specific pieces even in dungeons, different dungeon sets that are decent for PvP or decent for farming.
Well, you've got things like Toep, right? Talisman of Eternal Power, and it's like everybody wants that as a caster. Zandora, Hero Charm. These types of things are like huge chase pieces in classic WoW, and that's the kind of interplay that I like seeing. I don't like seeing a huge amount of interplay between like PvE and PvP, but I think a certain amount of it is healthy for the game. I know there are some people who like playing it where everybody's exactly the same and perfectly equal, and you know, maybe they could do like a tournament realm for that to be the case. But WoW is an MMO, and I do think that there should be a certain level of disparity between two players, you know, based off of how much time they invest in everything. And right now the problem with BFA at least is that disparity is too much, because you know, you multiply corruptions on top of essences, on top of you know, sockets on gear, and on top of cloak level, on top of corruption resistance, and you're just having this massive difference in damage. Like, that's fun. What level is your cloak?
I couldn't even tell you, like level 3 or something.
There it is.
I did
Don't
the
take a
beginning
deep breath.
stuff. I did the it was fun. I just didn't have time with it. I just got overwhelmed with my guild stuff, you know.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I mean, like, that's one thing I'm worried about with Shadowlands. I'm hoping they're not going to do too many of these systems. Now, what they said yesterday is a lot of the systems, and this is something I'm hoping for, a lot of these systems are going to be kind of contained within a covenant, and hopefully they'll be account-wide in terms of like meta progression systems. And that's one thing I think BFA really did wrong, is I enjoy the meta progression systems at max level. I think they're good, but having to do them on every single character is unreasonable. Like right now, at the end of an expansion, like I'm sure you guys probably did the same shit back in the day, is you'd level up another character.
Yeah, and get it sick gear, and then sometimes you would meet
get it ready
people.
for the next expansion.
Yeah, well, you get ready for the next expansion in ways that you couldn't even predict. Whether it was meeting new people that you were going to play with, whether it was maybe even deciding that you wanted to change the class that you're playing. Let's say you played a paladin for 10 years, and then all of a sudden you try a warlock, and then you go, wait, this is actually what I want to play right now. It's a change of pace. Maybe you end up with a new bane. You never know what's going to happen. That's the reason why it was so much fun. And then when pre-patch hits, you get to try out the new stuff there as well. It's usually when you get to beat the game and thoroughly enjoy it. The thing right now is with all of these systems, doing them multiple times is never fun, even if they're good the first time. When you look at, you're going to need to progress a zone to give it zone juice now. You're going to need to progress your covenant. You're going to need to progress your soul binds. You're going to need to be in Torghast to get your legendary items. You're going to need to you're going to need to progress. What else are you going to need to progress? There's the dude, what's that other thing called? I don't even remember what it's called.
Anima power.
Yeah, but what's the one system that they showed where it has the little circle in the middle that was like half full on the graphic, and then there were like the three little dots around it?
Yeah, that. Like I don't remember.
I don't even know what that system is yet.
It's fully. Like they have like there's one thing I really like. Esfon, did you see the soulbind system?
A little bit, yeah. I looked at that.
What do you think of that? It's kind of like an old talent tree.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I think I feel like they're adding so many new systems in the game at once, and they're like different types of secondary progression systems that I'm kind of worried that it's gonna like spin out of control and be like impossible to balance.
That's what I'm kind of worried about too, and that's one thing. Like I really like the idea of secondary progression systems, and like this is maybe like a neckbeard take or something, but I like doing these. But it's just that if they don't have them balanced, and I did a poll with my chat yesterday, and I asked them, what covenant are you going to pick? And instead of 4 choices, I gave 5. And the 5th choice was whatever the covenant that the people that do the most damage tell me to go. Yeah. And you know what? Over 50% went with number fucking 5. Yeah. That is not a good decision, because that takes a fun, aesthetic, RP, gameplay, role-playing, like fucking a real like character decision that just relegates it to a simulation.
Yep.
Yeah.
That sucks.
And just to add to that, it's
honestly my take on covenants is pretty simple, man. They'll be fun. I think they should be. I feel like that I understood what Ian was saying. I understand the lock-in. It's happening.
Metagaming. Yeah, the introduction of a specific meta into any game, or into every game really, and it's like, this is the best way to do this, or like you have to play this game this way because it means you'll do this much damage, whatever. It takes the life out of the game, and I see so many people burn out from playing games because they're playing the game in a way that may or may not be giving them the most amount of overall fun, because what they think is the most amount of fun they're going to have is by doing, being the highest performing player in whatever way. And then whenever they inevitably don't always attain that, then they end up getting burned out and they feel like their time is wasted and they end up quitting and losing it. I've seen so many people, even in Classic
is not even in
Classic right now. Classic is one of the worst offenders of this.
It's insane. I've never seen anything like it on in my entire experience
here's the
playing
thing.
WoW.
Right? Like, why would you play with somebody who's a human priest whenever they could play as a dwarf priest and have an extra ability that makes them better? There's no reason to do that. So everybody goes into the game knowing that. Like, everybody knows that dwarves are better than humans, basically, as being priests. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna let you finish. I think we're done.
Well, yeah, they're just better. Overall, they're just better. And so if you have somebody that takes a choice and willingly handicaps themselves, of course you're going to be frustrated about that. And most people that do that probably might not be as good as the people who don't.
Well, and that's not, for example, there's so much. I think part of the problem is honestly content. I think a lot of times you can make the big, hot take, outlandish statement. Check out my clickbait YouTube title. You have to play this game. The one trick to make you a god at vanilla WoW. Yeah. And it's like, it's just not true. I think it's intellectually dishonest, right? Because they say the big
intellectually
thing to
dishonest.
make you feel like you have to play the game this way.
Yeah.
Whereas, for example, using your dwarf priest example, human priests are actually higher performing by the time you get into Nax. Now it's for a smaller portion of time. At the very beginning, the fear ward is really important because Onyxia is in the first raid tier, and you have to deal with fears and this and that. But as time goes on, it becomes a lot less of an issue, and then having that spirit bonus for a priest as a human is actually you're going to perform higher. Oh, yeah. But people don't realize this because of the big clickbait stuff.
Well, also people don't like to think.
I don't know if anybody knew that.
It's a lot easier to hear something one time and then stick to it forever.
Absolutely.
Instead of actually actively thinking. I mean, even look.
Who would
during
even
this
ever
expansion, look during BFA,
think
the amount of times
about something they heard and decide whether or not they liked it?
Something was bad, and content creator actively comes out and says like,
"Oh,
okay, this
if
is
I
the
buy
worst
that
spec in
shit,
the game right now. Something needs to change." And then it gets changed, and it actually performs well. But you still see people saying, "Oh, I would never bring this into my raid group ever. Like this is just an underperforming spec." It's like, have you seen the damage that they're actually doing? But it's a lot easier to just only hear one thing and stick to the entire expansion.
I think it's just a matter of kind of. Here's kind of the issue with it, and I've thought about this a lot in terms of like metagaming, and I think as
not succeeding
right,
in the
like,
farming today.
Metagaming.
Come talk to me, fam.
If you deleted YouTube, you'd still
need
have
training.
There's always going to be like that thing that everybody uses no matter what, and one of the reasons for that is because oftentimes it's better. And there's a misconception that I
imagine most of my folk are asleep or work.
The top 1% or 2% of players. And you're right. That's because the ceiling is higher for them.
But
if you're playing with a meta build or a meta spec, you automatically start 1 or 2% higher, 3 to 4% higher. So it doesn't matter where you are in the game. By playing this other version of it or playing it in a certain way, you're just simply at an advantage. Like that's all there is to it. And because information is so prevalent now, and the trading and internet, etc., it is so common with like figuring out these different things. You have people that figure out the options and they figure out the best one very, very early on. And I don't know if there's really a way to stop that at all. But the other issue I was going to say is that if you take like every pool of players, right? You look at every single pool of priests, like let's say in all of Classic WoW, and then you take the pool of human priests and then the pool of dwarf priests, and almost every person who is primarily focused on in-game gameplay and high performance, PvP, that kind of stuff, almost every single one of them is probably going dwarf. So you're going to have a higher ratio of good players inside the dwarf priest group than you would inside of the human priest group, because most people that are playing human priests would have made the decision to go dwarf if they cared about their performance on a fundamental level. And so I think it's an issue that's kind of like it self-exacerbates itself. It's kind of like what happens between Alliance and Horde on retail.
I don't know.
Because like as more people go Horde, then more people go Horde, and it just kind of creates this loop where the worst players are stuck on Alliance because they don't really care anyway, because if they did care, they would have transferred to Horde.
I don't know if I buy that either.
I mean, I think that's certainly the case with like you might have a higher likelihood that the more min-maxy type of players are going to do things a certain way, and those types of players also tend to maybe be better players because they want to play the game that way. But I also think that directly goes against the, and this is turning into a more like specific like classic WoW discussion, I guess. But you also, the classic raids are not that hard, right? And then that's like a big notion too. Like people are like, oh well, classic is easy anyway, right? So then I feel like you have this like counter, like this like.
There's always a counterbalance, right? It's like, do you want to play what's
just like
best?
Weird to me because I'm like, so you want to do this, but then also you think this, so then why like? I don't know. It's just a weird thing.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems I think that people are kind of worried about with Covenants is that, going into it, if for whatever reason, it looks like Venthyr is going to be really good, and I want to go Venthyr. Like, if it's just purely an aesthetic choice, I will go Venthyr every day. I look like a vampire already. I think it just makes sense. So, yeah, I love that. But at the same time, like, if Kyrian is way better, I'm going to have to go Kyrian. Like there's no way I'm gonna make it.
Well,
also that's the way you want to play the game. You want to do the thing naturally.
Well, it's bigger than that. With the way the systems actually work. That was actually what I wanted to jump into right now, because there are going to be active solo gameplay decisions now. So if you want to be a farmer for some reason, I don't know why you'd want to do that, but if you want your Mr. Pandaria farm back, you have to actually select the faction for that. If you want to play Build-A-Bears in Maldraxxus, you gotta actually choose that covenant. And I think that there is potential for some of these systems to actually be fun, right? I think that they could be interesting, fun gameplay. I hope if they're adding them in, they're not just throwaway content, because it's most likely going to be something that you have to do. When you look at all these different soul binds, they look like they have potential to be fun, and actually get to switch them up quite a bit and try different things out with them. And maybe
that's
you can
awesome.
progress.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you could actually progress multiple soul binds and actually, like, the way that maybe it'll be less toxic than maxing out your essences now, and it could be something that somebody wants to do solo and have a fun time doing. Now, there's a bunch of content gated behind these choices now, even down to how you juice up your zone based off the way that your anime gets spread out throughout the zone. That has huge implications on how you play the game on a solo level as well. And if a lot of this stuff isn't account wide, if certain fun content is kept from players, like, I really think that there needs to be account-wide progression, the ability to switch between all of these, or to unlock all of them if you want to go.
Stream.
Like, why should somebody not be able to play all of that content and actively get to take over the entire map, level up every single soul bind, level up every single covenant, and have that mastery, besides lore reasons that, just write it so it makes sense.
Well, it's also, I mean, the covenants are friendly with each other to begin with. I mean, like, I think the issue really is that Blizzard has convinced themselves that this is something that's necessary for the game, even though it's never existed in the game previously. There's never really been a point where a massive gameplay decision like this is locked between a choice that's very hard to revert. Like, Scryers versus Aldor is nowhere even in the same universe as this. And I think that they're kind of looking at them. One of the interviews today referred to them kind of as subclasses, and like that's a Dungeons and Dragons thing. And I think that's okay, right? It's a cool way to look at it. But I think that whenever you see like the feedback from the community, and it feels like these decisions with the Covenant specifically, they're being made in a vacuum. Because if you play WoW and you know how people consume content in WoW, you would know that this is not going to go over well on players, and it's just going to be turned into a game system.
Oh, look, I gotta jump in because I know a lot of people don't actually maybe play Dungeons and Dragons as much, and I'm gonna be trying to get you guys to play with me soon. Dungeons and Dragons I feel like when people have these conversations, they give Dungeons and Dragons this rep like it's a game it's like you make like all of these permanent choices all of the time, when Dungeons and Dragons is a game that's all about freedom of choice and actually getting to do crazy wild shit. Instead of having a game telling you what you can do,
I think I would like to play some D&D at some point in my life.
Actually is like,
I just don't know when or how or where.
Roll for this, and
but
you're
like
gonna have
D&D
these
would be
crazy
dope.
moments that happen. You have a person making those
it's kind of,
allowing you
I'm
to
so
go
used to,
wild
like the
with a
visceral
reason.
experience of
And
video
on
games.
top of that, there are plenty of opportunities where you can switch up different things about your character. Like, it's not a game that locks you in to all of these crazy moments. And then on top of that, you look at other RPGs with big decisions. I've been playing Divinity a whole bunch. That is an RPG where you're making active decisions in the story all of the time. Sometimes you're choosing getting more story or getting more power. Like there's an ability called Pet Pal that allows you to talk to animals. If you have that, you basically turn into train wrecks, right? You're able to talk to everybody at the conventions. But the thing is you have to give up a level of power to get that. You might not be able to get, like, one of the other things that would be in the same slot as that would be Executioner, which basically gives you the ability to get additional actions after you actually take something down for the first time in combat during a turn. So like if you actually kill an enemy, you then get the ability to do another attack, for example. It's a really powerful thing. Pet Pal is in the same area as that, but you might want to do it because you might want to learn more about the game, learn more about the universe, and choose story. But you know what you can do in that game at any time you want? You can change all of your abilities for free. You just go to a mirror and you change all of your abilities. You change all of your skills. You change all of your attributes. You change everything, and it's completely free. So even in an RPG where you make those big choices, you are able to change it up and experience the game in a different way.
Let's go back. I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about the way, because the Covenants thing, I think we really just need to see how Blizzard's going to balance them. Preach said the difference between the covenants is at some points 40% output. If they don't have, I don't think they're going to balance this correctly because they've never balanced anything else correctly, and it's just probably going to be a shit show. But if by some miracle Blizzard actually makes it happen, I will be amazed. But one thing I think we were talking about earlier is Torghast and the way that like the esports kind of drive the development of the game. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I feel like all of the dungeons in BFA and also in Legion, lesser to an extent in Legion, but in BFA, they all feel very, formulaic. And if you go back and you play a game, you play a dungeon like Marathon in Classic WoW, or BRD in Classic WoW, you have like this large expansive dungeon that really feels more like a dungeon. And I think that, you know, they've kind of captured that to an extent with Mechagon. I think Mechagon is one of the best dungeons they've ever made.
Mechagon was amazing. It was incredibly fun.
And I want to see them do more dungeons that aren't designed for the MDI. And I think that's kind of the way it is that dungeons are designed now for being MDI. They have a trash pack, boss, trash pack, mini boss, trash pack, boss. And it just kind of goes the same way. And they feel very formulaic in that way. And I don't know exactly how they can solve that, but I don't know. It just seems like kind of just sucks.
I mean, I think with Mechagon, they took a step in the right direction. And I do genuinely think this. I think they saw the overwhelming success of Classic, because Classic WoW did way better than anybody at Blizzard
needs somebody sometimes.
Would have been in charge of making like big decisions, I guess. I don't think they expected it to be the success that it was, as far as like the amount of people playing it, the amount of people still playing it. So I think what they did was they probably went and they were like, okay, obviously not everything in Classic is better. I think there's this weird thing where it's like, oh, everything, that's how they did it in Classic, so obviously that's the way to do it. And it's like, no, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's better, right? It's just different versions of the game at different points in time. There were certain things that they can go back and look at and say, you know what, we did that really well, or people like this. Why do they like this? And we don't have to go and take that same thing and put it in the game now. But what we do need to do is we need to find out why they like this so much and take that why and apply it to something else, or make something else that can be applied to that and put that in the game.
Well, I'll say one thing, right? A dungeon that I think breaks this mold to an extent is Court of Stars in Legion. And I think Court of Stars in Legion was, it was like, in terms of like dungeon competitiveness, it was kind of shitty, because you had like 3 or 4 different random elements that would happen inside of it. You had different buffs, and then the buffs that would kill the mini bosses before the second boss, I believe. And then you also had to talk to the different NPCs for figuring out who the NPC is actually the Dreadlord, which NPC was actually the Dreadlord. And it was different, but I think that Court of Stars is one of the best dungeons that they've ever made. Like, I really, really like Court of Stars. Like, looking back on it in retrospect, it was probably the best dungeon in Legion.
It was some of the most fun. It was some of the most fun to cast too, right?
Yeah, because it's like you had like those elements of randomness that would happen.
Like cool. There are a lot of weird things to go back to the idea that you're bringing up though, where it does feel like certain things like that actual content that's being created on the esports side of things can impact the gameplay. Like look at Torghast for example. I think a lot of people in the chat are actually gonna like say, and I've seen people say it before, will be like, Torghast sucks to watch. Like, I don't get why you guys like it, and I understand that. I actually understand why watching Torghast would not be the most enjoyable thing to watch, but it is super fun to play. Like there is a difference sometimes between those two things, and making something that's fun to watch and making something that's fun to play are very different. And I think that you should lean towards the side of when you're making a game of making something that's fun to play rather than fun to watch.
Yeah, I'll be happy about that. And if you have enough people that it's fun to play for, you'll end up having more that it's fun to watch for. I think that's kind of the way that I look at it. And like a lot of people do like watching Torghast. Like earlier, I was doing Torghast and people were happy. So I think if you do it every day, like here's kind of the thing, is like my stream, you know, I have a lot of like kind of variety in my stream. Not that I play the game different, or I play different games, but I just play the game differently in a lot of different ways, right? I'll go do a mount run, go watch a video, go watch another video, go watch another video. and read Reddit and go watch another video. You know, so there's a lot of variety in the way that I do things.
That is fun. Sounds dope.
But if you're just doing Torghast all fucking day, of course that's gonna be boring to anybody.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do think that to a lot of people, they're paying much more attention to not how, like, when they are watching it, to how it feels to be that broken. They're just like, wait, this guy's just one-shotting everything and all of the rooms look exactly the same. I think it's pretty obvious how Torghast can get boring.
I want them to change the room types. I want to see a patch in like patch 9 point fucking like what are we even on right now?
Who knows, man? We are on whatever the
we actually go back into Azeroth, and instead of Torghast being a a tower, make it like a frozen tundra on like the coast of Ice Cream, and you just go farther and farther and farther into this like endless, blinding tundra.
And it's Houston.
That would be fucking badass.
I mean, how would you feel? I mean, that does sound badass, but how would you guys feel too if every single room you went to could just be completely random, right? Like all of a sudden
there should be a theme.
Oh,
you do?
I like themes.
Okay.
Yeah. What is?
Asman likes a theme. There you go.
I think the.
Nah, you Emma Uckas no.
Is it? I can't remember what it is, but there's a term for it where things are randomly generated, like maps.
Procedural generation.
Yes. Yes. So, I kind of don't like that. Like people talk about like, oh, it could be amazing
for a good price. Since I just wasted a bunch of gold, what do you think?
I think what makes games so good a lot of times is that familiarity, and I mean, you just think about it, like any game you've played, and you walk into an area. I mean, I remember the first time I played Dark Souls, where you go through and you come up over the hill, and then you see like this wide open expanse, and you see the tower in the corner and the clouds, and it's like foggy. Like these are like visual thematic things that are stuck in my head. I remember going into
yeah, it puts me back at where I was.
Going to Black Rock Mountain for the first time and being like, what the
probably not that
like,
good.
Here's what I'm saying, dude. Is like imagine if you went into Black Rock Mountain, and inside, like imagine if you had to swim all the way to the bottom of the lava in Black Rock Mountain, and it would teleport you to a Torghast effective system, and you would be going deeper and deeper and deeper into the mountain for like 50 levels or something like that, until you got to fight against Ragnaros again.
I haven't
done
like the final
boss. Yeah,
that would be so fucking badass. And
you
like, then have the levels procedurally generated. So like they look different every time. The mobs are a little bit different every time. But it's still, the inside of a volcano.
I'm really bad at
it. It's not like you're gonna randomly go into
incredibly bad at going to the right place.
Also, the thing with proc gen, just like proc gen isn't usually what happens. So, alright, not to go into too much detail with how proc gen actually works, but there are a few different ways to do proc gen, and it looks like they're using Diablo's kind of style of proc gen, which is basically there are big tile pieces that already exist, and then those tiles connect. So you, as an intelligent player who's played it a whole bunch, you will walk through and you'll go, oh, I know it's these 3 tiles, and you'll just instantly know. There are different types of proc gen that are a little bit more involved. Sometimes even with the more involved version, somebody who plays the game for a very large amount of time will know the types of patterns and how to traverse those patterns really well. But the way that this proc gen does work, like Asman and I played a bunch of Torghast, and even when we were playing together way back when it first came out, we were instantly like, oh, it's this, and this is what we're gonna do.
It's gonna be these mobs, and like, yeah, I want to see them do a lot more with it, and I do think the imagery of Torghast will get boring for players. But what I can really hope for the most is that the Torghast does get boring for them, which I think, yeah, it'll happen. But they'll still be excited to do it because it'll give them good gear, and Blizzard will change the zones and, like, baby, and stuff like that, and just add more things into the pool. And like whenever you go into Torghast now, like I haven't done this before, but you go into Torghast and there's like this antechamber, and there's all of these different portals that you can go in and places that you can try. And I think that if they develop Torghast in a more involved way, with having things like what we're talking about, like a forest area, a tundra area, a volcano area, something like that, each one would be its own different path. And I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, actually having like a lot, like in a lot of those dungeoneering games, there are a bunch of different ways that you actually choose different things, right? And actually need to react and take different powers because you know it's going to be better in the run. I think having different types of seeding exist in a run could be interesting. I don't think it's 100% the way that they do need to go, but I think as it starts to develop more and more, they need to make some more dramatic decisions, so it's not just this simple, very flat, vanilla performance throughout the entire. But not to insult, I was not insulting vanilla. Like I'm just saying, like basic half of a roguelike instead of all the way going down one path and making sure that you're making interesting decisions. And I think that they have started to do that. I'm excited to see where it does go all the way. You mentioned the legendary, so we have gotten some more information.
Oh yeah. So Esfand, do you know how the legendaries work in Shadowlands?
Yeah, I've seen like you can do you can basically craft them. I think they want to call on. I think the Legion legendary system, whenever I first started playing Legion, because I came into Legion late, was kind of bad at first, because there were things that like some legendaries were just straight up so powerful. I think there was was it the ring for paladins that just gave you divine purpose straight up? Like, yeah, and it's like, dude, this is, I mean, it literally gives you a bonus talent, and it's insane. It's an awesome talent. I think it wasn't until maybe it was the last patch of Legion where they made it to where you could actually grind for them and you could buy them, and that was a little bit better. I think with them making it to where you craft the legendaries, I don't know. I think that it could help in two ways by making crafting maybe a little bit more interesting, because the crafting systems in retail right now are not interesting.
The crafting, it looks like it's a focus. Like, I don't know if you've seen like the pictures, the screenshots of the UI, but it does look like it's a strong focus Blizzard is having on crafting and making it actually like a meaningful thing. I know you played PoE a little bit, but you probably didn't really explore the crafting system a whole lot.
Dude, he mirrored a gray, dude.
It was a blue.
No, it was a gray.
Oh.
I didn't even know that you could do that.
That's like a workaround for sure. I'm excited to have an AV. I don't have a classic AV in a while. This is weird because I haven't been an AV in a while.
I'm happy about that. So like you craft like your base armor.
I'm excited. Hopefully fucking dump this shit. I want to dumpster somebody really badly.
To empower it into becoming legendary.
I have the gear
and the legendary
to dumpster
effects
somebody.
that you're getting, there's going to be some new ones, of course, but there's also going to be a
Just
lot
give
of
me
them.
a new
They're
guy.
the old legendary effects and old tier.
Give me a new guy.
They're going to be brought back and made into legendaries for Torghast. And
so
I think
that's
really cool.
Yeah, here were the bullet points that were actually said. The ability to make multiple legendaries over the course of a raid tier with the limit of only one that you can equip at a given time create interesting decisions, but players have control over these decisions. You'll probably acquire legendaries faster than you did in Legion, but the final rate has yet to be determined. That was actually in a developer interview with Ian Hazukosis, and I believe Tally. I could be wrong about that, but I think that that was who it was with. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it sounds like they're going in the right direction. But I do want to say one thing, just a word of warning: Legion legendaries also were in that vein. I don't think that they'll make this mistake again. We were all really excited for legendaries.
Let's get it done.
It looked like they were going to be acquired. Then all of a sudden, one day you log on, and that just wasn't the case online.
But yeah, you know the thing that everybody said, okay, well at least they have this, so it'll be fine. Yeah, well we got rid of that, so it's not fine anymore. But we're still shipping it. Fuck you. Pretty much what they did.
Damn.
Yeah.
How does Asmund go truly feel?
I wasn't sure why that happened. I don't know what the actual decision was, but that was something that happened, and that's why I feel like being vocal, even when stuff is good in the beta, and like really being like, this is really good, please don't change it. The other option seems like it would be really bad. Is
full
important.
premades of AB, man.
The legendaries looked great in Legion, and then they released, and S-Fan kind of hit it on the head. They were less than fun when they came out initially, and then they became fun like 2 years later. And you don't want to see that happen.
I mean, that kind of seems like inevitably in how gaming is. When you can put out a game as Magic, it leaves a lot of.
It's gonna suck on release.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they fucking roll face this.
I think there's two parts to this, right? And there's the whole like beta for Azeroth thing. Whenever BFA came out, everyone was like, "Wait, this is broken. This is dumb. Like, who told you about this? Why didn't you do this?"
That was unfortunate.
Beta testing
that's not a good start.
Is nothing compared to like the first week of launch. Even there's so many more people playing the game than even got into beta or alpha. Or some people get beta and
was
actually
rough.
don't play because like this doesn't matter.
They log on, run around a little bit. Wow, that's cool. All right. That's it. Yeah.
So they don't get good legitimate testing a lot of times, and then the game releases and then it's broken. They're like, whoa, wait, what? What happened? And so yeah.
It's a farm.
So it goes both ways. But that's just life. That's how gaming is now.
Yeah, I mean, just having different things like, you know, crafting legendaries and having crafting matter and different things like this, I think it really does make a big difference in terms of getting people to be more engaged with the game.
There's nothing I can do with it.
Have a lot of control over it. And I think that, like, in Legion and also at the beginning of BFA, now so it's not so much the case because you have more control over your gear. But at the beginning of BFA, like there's almost no ways to actually go after the items and the pieces of gear that you want, and that just is a terrible feeling because you're just sitting there pulling the lever on a slot machine, and the best thing that you can hope for is it's a weighted lever for the item that you want, but you're still pulling a fucking lever. And another thing that Ian talked about, I don't know, like Asfond, if you've done any PvP in BFA. Like large scale PvP.
Oh, like
it's gotten so the lag in like the lag is worse in a 40v40 battle in BFA than a 200 versus 200 battle in Classic.
So I actually talked to someone from Blizzard about this, and I think this was during the and I brought up
coming to help.
Private server presidents, and they were talking about how they took basically because they're down converting everything in Classic from retail. There's so many more processes and stuff going on in a small area compared to what it was before on even original Classic or private servers or whatever. That it just constantly has to update everything, right? There's so many things going through the combat log, and they use the example of if you did the same thing in retail, it wouldn't even be close. Like if just like you said, like a 40v40 battle is more than 200 Classic because there's GCD is lower because of haze. There's more spells going on. There's more abilities. There's way more things that are being logged constantly, and it just like bogs down the server.
Let's see what the time is on AV.
But it's kind of dumb. Like it's like bloat. Like, is there any way to reduce that? I don't know.
You have the hidden stat scaling
system.
Yeah,
the hour and 55 minutes.
The hidden scaling system.
A little bit, but I don't know the specifics of it.
So imagine if you have really, really good gear and you hit somebody for 100K.
3 QAB and hope that doesn't happen again.
They don't take 100K.
What is it?
Even though it says you did 100K, they don't take 100.
The shadow.
They take 70K instead. So they're
let's not get premade. That'd be dope.
They're telling you, oh no, you're doing lots of damage.
There's just no way to do AV.
And you're not.
You just stay in queue
So
forever.
fucking stupid. So you have like that internal system. You have like whenever you do your attack, like every attack that you do, if you want to understand how BFA's combat system works, get a bowl full of dice, and every single auto attack is just grabbing a handful of those dice and throwing them at whatever you're trying to attack. And that's basically every single proc that you have.
Yeah, you saw that in one of the dev interviews, they were like, Preach's video isn't too far off from what's going on, right?
That's what Ian said.
Yeah, was it Ian who actually said it?
Yep.
I just saw Preach like tweet it out, and he's like, "Not being smug, oh boys." It's
sure.
like, all right, dude. like he literally highlighted the problem is the game is more complicated. There was a Preach video that speculated what was going on, and he wasn't too far off. And yeah, I think that we all saw that Preach video and was like, this makes a lot of sense. You don't need to be an IT person to realize that this does make a lot of sense. And I think a lot of the things that they're doing are actively fighting against that, and that is a very good thing.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I'm just glad. I think honestly, like just being understanding, and it's good to see Ian. Like whenever we talk about these issues, and he gets the question, and he just says, "Yeah, it sucks." Like, not some kind of bullshit answer, not anything like that. He's like, yeah, this sucks and something needs to happen. Like, thank you, Ian. At least now we have, like, an honest conversation going on here, rather than, you know, a bunch of beating around the bush. Yeah. I'm very glad about that.
Communications felt, I mean, a million times better. And
yeah, I agree with that.
Like, I feel like usually you say something like that and it doesn't really have as big an impact, but I mean, just look this time around. They made one of the worst choices that they could have possibly made with Torghast when they added the torments, and everybody was like, wait, this is really, really bad. Please remove this. And they were like, yep, get it. We tried it. It didn't work. We're iterating. We're listening to what you say, and then all of a sudden it's gone. I just hope that the same thing happens with Covenants when we get to test them more thoroughly. I know that the beta is obviously going to be coming out soon from everything that we've heard. More people are going to get to test stuff. They're going to be throwing more stuff at us, I'm assuming. And I hope that if the Covenants do not feel good, that they do make these changes, because I've never seen them backpedal away from a feature that is
on
so
the box.
Feature that is on the box, yeah.
Unless it was mounted vehicle combat in Round Village King, which never made it into the game. Which is
the only thing that was ever on the box that did.
It's a full fair.
The dance studio is slightly different.
Yeah, that is. I think they're almost adding that with the Venthyr thing now, or something like that.
The Alliance.
Now, I mean, like, obviously we have Esfand on. Esfand is mostly, he's a classic guy. You know, mainly play classic. How are you feeling about the AQ release? It's coming out on the 28th, and hopefully we'll have a week 1 or 2 opening of the gates. It's hard to say.
I mean, dude, so
we have 21%. 21% so far.
Specific to our server, at least, yeah, we've been keeping up with it pretty well, like as a guild with Crusade. But we looked at like the general like contribution from everyone, and it's been really bad. We wanted to have like an early opening. I mean, people want it open as fast as possible. Some people do. Some people want to wait a little bit so they can get more mounts. I don't think we're going to open it up as fast as we possibly can, but I think we probably still can do it.
Fucking dumb.
So that's what a lot of people are hoping for. I don't think we're planning on stalling for mounts. The mount discussion is a whole thing, because with at 100% efficiency per layer, you can only get, I think it's 9 mounts. That means if every single thing, every single mob that you need to kill is killed right away, and you just sit there and you respawn, and nobody ever sleeps, and it doesn't ever sit there. I don't think that is likely to happen. I think that at most that probably means there's going to be like 7 per layer, and with how many more people are playing the game now than there were back then, how many more of those people that are playing the game, a higher percentage of them are doing in-game content, a higher percentage of guilds doing in-game raiding, a higher percentage of, which inevitably leads to a higher number of people that are probably eligible or realistically can attain those mounts. I think that it's going to be kind of tough. Back in the day, you saw at most, I think, 3 mounts on a server. I don't think you ever saw more than 3 mounts on any server.
The only time,
and most of them were 1.
Yeah, most servers were 1. So like our server back in the day, the fucking Horde. So like Crimser. I don't know if you guys ever seen this guy. He's a warrior in my old guild from back in Vanilla and BC. He had everything done, and they ringed the gong when he went to bed.
Dude. There was
he
a big
didn't
drama.
fucking get his mount. I felt so bad for that guy, man. I really did.
That sucks, dude. Yeah. There was a big drama, and I played on Illidan before I transferred to Kel'Thuzad at the end of Vanilla. And I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. I think it was, there was some stuff with like Blood Legion, and I think it was like Piccolo and Z Extreme, and I don't remember all the details, but I think it was Piccolo went to go ring the gong, and they had all planned on, hey, this is the date and time, we're gonna ring the gong, we're gonna be ready to go. And maybe somebody in chat played on Illidan and remembers, but yeah, it was like Team Ice and Blood Legion. Team Ice had Piccolo.
Oh, it's got a grenade and everything.
And he went and rang the gong early, and then Z Extreme from Blood Legion ended up not being able to get his mount because I think he was like at school or
whatever. This fucking bill works at all.
That was like a whole big drama. And maybe I'm
so fucking exact details, so that's just terrible. I don't know if I'm gonna go for Scarab Board or not. Have you decided what you're going to?
I think if I go for Scarab Board, it would happen. It's in the last week. So realistically, if I'm Grand Marshal,
well, that's actually not a bad way to fuck off the.
I mean, Scarab Lord matters. Scarab Lord does matter more.
It's a
but
mount,
it's about timing.
Swords come and go, but mounts are forever.
Right, but so
this is gonna be a pre-made game, man.
I've been bracket 1 for a few weeks.
I'm
going to hit rank 13 this week at bracket 1, and then I will have 3 more weeks of ranking to hit rank 14. If I had just committed and said I was gonna go for rank 14 right away, this would be a non-issue, right? But because I kind of like pussyfooted around and do I want to do it or do I not? Okay, I'll go for 13, and then we had a bad stack. Somebody broke at the last second, and I dropped 5% RP because otherwise I should have been rank 13 this week. So a little bit of drama, messed up the stack. A lot of us got an extra week added on. It didn't change my date for rank 13, but it did change my date for rank 13. And because I needed 1 week, or I needed 2 weeks and then 3 weeks for 14 instead of 1 week and then 4 weeks, I'm like, well, at that point, like, I might as well go for 14. And then boom, they announced AQ40 on that last week. So to be able, if realistically, if I'm able to hit Grand Marshal and get a Scarab Lord mount, like that is gonna be.
That's pretty big dick.
Yeah,
that's like beating classic.
I don't know if I'll be able to do it, so I we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm excited for it. I think almost everybody's excited for AQ. Do you want to see them release Cthulhu pre-nerf? I
think it'd be fun, but I don't think they will, because they have not shown any sign of. In any way, really, they haven't shown any sign of doing anything other than the last version, going anything other than what was in 1.12, which for almost every encounter was the easiest version.
Maybe it's wishful thinking, but I bet they're not testing it because of that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they didn't test BWL, but they did test ZG. So and they did test AQ20. So it's just hard to tell. I think there's 2 parts to this too. If somebody beats Cthulhu pre-nerf, and there's a lot of different factors to this, but if somebody beats Cthulhu pre-nerf, then Ian was wrong. Because Ian was the guy.
You think he's not going to do it, so he doesn't want to be wrong? You think that's what it is?
I mean, look, I'm just saying, if somebody does beat it pre-nerf, then the narrative is going to be Ian was wrong.
Look, dude, I mean, Ian's guild couldn't kill 5 Priests Takar in full Nax gear with world buffs and flasks, and random warriors in some other guild in Europe just went in there and dumpstered him before the first blood cycle. Like 5 minutes after the game came out. I don't even want to hear it, man. So, like, that shit's gonna be a joke.
Well, and I think that there's a number of other factors, right? Because we have all the 1.12 class balance, which didn't exist at the time where Ian. Now people aren't gonna know this or understand this, or account for this. We have all 1.12 talents, all the class balance changes, the buffs, everything is in the game. All the latest versions of the items that are available are now in the game. We're playing a very different game than we played back in vanilla. This isn't the same game we played in vanilla. Private servers were not the same game we played in vanilla. This is not the same game that people played on private servers. This is a new version of vanilla that people are playing, and it is a different experience. If you've played both or all 3 versions, then you'll understand that. I think I'm not going to say that it's impossible. I don't think that's impossible even, but I don't think that Blizzard's going to do it, and I would like to see them do it because I think it would be very, very interesting.
It'll just be fun. I think that's the main thing. It'll just be fucking fun. To me, like, I'm hoping that they do that, and I like the idea of, like, classic WoW kind of having these patches come out in between retail WoW patches. So I'm expecting we're gonna have Nax come out maybe like 3 or 4 months into Shadowlands. That's probably what it's gonna look like, because there's no way we're gonna see Nax until before Shadowlands. I don't think so. I would certainly hope not, honestly.
Yeah, I think what's gonna happen is Nax is. This is my like timeline of how I think things are gonna pan out. So AQ came out about when I thought it was going to come out, or it's going to come out about when I thought it was going to come out. I think Shadowlands is likely to come out in late September or October. That's just what I think sounds reasonable. Because back in the day there was like about a 5 or 6 month period between AK40 and so this would fall right in there. So people who are playing WoW, right, retail or classic, are gonna have AK40, and then a couple months later Shadowlands comes out, and right before that is gonna be pre-patch, and that's content in and of itself. And then I think we will probably see Nax around November or December time, which would fall in line with the original timeline pretty closely. And then eventually that would lead to a Burning Crusade Classic coming out at the beginning of summer, so people can actually play. You remember that whole drama where people are like, you said Classic Summer, and it's literally like the first week of school that you guys are releasing. Yeah. So I do think that Nax realistically should come out maybe November, December-ish, maybe mid to late November. You're gonna have Shadowlands, Nax, then the first patch, or I guess second patch, whatever we want to call it, for Shadowlands, and then Burning Crusade. I mean, it's literally gonna be nonstop.
I think if you're a WoW player, I want to see it in January. I want to see, I want to see Nax in January. But you're totally right. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say that if you're a WoW player right now, this is such an exciting time to play, because you're gonna have so many things to do, whether it's classic or retail, and not everybody likes both. Not everybody likes classic, not everybody likes retail, and some people like neither. But if you do like both, then you are spoiled. You're ridiculously spoiled right now. And Burning Crusade is gonna be nuts. Like it's gonna be nonstop for a long time.
Imagine if Shadowlands is good and BC comes out.
I honestly,
yeah, that'll be interesting.
Well, I think people are going to play BC a lot. I don't think BC is going to have the same shelf life as Classic. I think people are going to be much more cyclical with it because they won't have like the huge leveling experience in the same way that like Classic is. But maybe I'll be wrong. TBC will have a arena. It'll have like a few other things too that make it a little bit more interesting than Classic WoW.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm curious what S-Fan's opinion on this, because I feel somewhat similar. I feel like the initial craze won't be anything like Classic was. Like, I actually changed my flight to get back after TI and to spam play, and I think everybody locked themselves inside of their places, even pre-quarantine, to play Classic non-stop for like a week. Like, it was rough work to do it. I don't think that's what's going to happen necessarily with BC. I mean, obviously people are going to go crazy when it first comes out, but I feel like BC lends itself more to having that cyclical play. I mean, like, okay, we're going really hard right now on retail, and now I can go back to BFA, or to BC. Like, I feel it actually lets you hop back in a little bit easier than Classic does.
Yeah, the design of the game is a little bit more like that. I think there's two parts to this. I think the pent up like frustration of not having legacy servers for so long was just like a huge buildup leading into Classic WoW. Huge, right? Also from like a marketing standpoint, oh, Classic WoW, we're going back, all this stuff. Classic Burning Crusade is going to be cool. Mostly people who know about it are going to be interested. Now, people who know about it, I think are going to be very excited. Like there's going to be maybe less overall interest of people like drawing new people in or whatever. But the audience of people that are already there, I think are going to be incredibly excited for it, because whether, you know, it's the same thing, you hadn't played the game in like 15 years, or if you were playing private servers, they're really like historically not have been the same quality of Burning Crusade private servers as there were vanilla private servers. Like I didn't really play Burning Crusade private.
Well, there's people that have like
screwed around like a couple times.
Servers too. I mean,
sorry, say it again.
People have like Mystic Pandaria private servers too, but like people don't really play them. You're right. I mean, most of the theory crafting of coding and everything has been centered around vanilla WoW. That's been the focus with like almost.
That's been the focus.
Yeah, it's like 80% of 90% of private servers. Like now we're seeing a few TBC servers come out and like people are more into it. But, you know, before I think that most people are pretty much playing, you know, vanilla WoW private servers. Before we move on to the questions, Esfand, is there anything that you want to talk about on here? Like anything about Shadowlands or like the Classic or anything?
I think we covered a lot of Shadowlands stuff. We talked about more Classic stuff than I thought we were going to talk about. I mean, I'm really excited for both. So I think it's a good time to go to questions.
that's the main thing. Is like I want to emphasize this again. I've said it like 2 or 3 times already. But it is a good time to go out there right now. There is so much shit coming out. You're gonna be very excited to play Shadowlands, and then you've got all the content in Shadowlands, which I think will be really good, and you also have TBC as well. And I want to say, like, I'm excited about every WoW expansion because it's a WoW expansion, but I'm also excited about Shadowlands because it's Shadowlands. With TBC, or sorry, not TBC, BFA, I could not say that. I was mostly just excited to get a new WoW expansion. Whereas Shadowlands, I'm actually excited because of the game.
Yeah. I quit BFA more times than I've been fired. That's a lot. That's a lot. So here's the first question. This is a pretty good question. Asmon, why do you still call S-Fan S-Fan?
That's a good question.
Do I?
Yeah, that's from me.
I feel like I switch it back and forth, you know?
Yeah, that's how it goes.
But yeah, S-Fan. Did I say S-Fan? I think it's really just like a tone
Dude,
thing.
I've tuned it out at this point.
Oh, hate.
Well, I only notice whenever other people say S-Fond instead of Asmon. I've tuned it out at this point where, like, if Asmon says, I'm just like, okay, whatever. So
I don't know why. I thought it was always like a tone thing. I didn't realize it all.
Well,
oh my God.
You know the worst part? I actually think I started it. I at first called S-Fan S-Fan, all during the Classic Dueling tournament too, and then like I think we kind of like spun it out of control then for a little while, but then I corrected myself and
the worst part about it, I feel good, okay, because I told my mom, obviously, you know, saying, yeah, I'm gonna play with S-Fond, and she's like, and like my mom and my dad for the longest time called you Esteban. And dude, Esteban. I'm like, no, that's not it, Dad. Like, it's not it.
Life.
Yeah,
my whole life people have thrown a T in there, and I don't know where. Like, it'll not necessarily Esteban, but like Estefan or Estefan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where's that T? I remember teachers calling me like like just throw a T in there. I'm like, what the heck?
I have the same shit happen where it's like people say Asmond gold.
Mond. Yeah.
Like Asmond. Like, there's no D, there's only one D, okay? There's not 2 Ds. And, you know, tell that, and these are like people that I've known for like 15 years. They're like, Asmond. Come here, Asmond. It's like, all right,
yeah,
you just kind of deal with it at this point.
Yeah. You know what's actually really funny is you know, people like make those little mistakes in your names. People just forget my name because I'm kind of irrelevant. Isn't that funny?
Oh, you know, I mean,
my name's Rich.
Yeah. Sorry, dude. Where's the next one? You see another good one?
Fourth Hunter spec question mark? Since they removed the original Hunter spec, aka the best spec. The reason that I bring up this question, no, I don't know what they're really saying with this, but the reason that I brought up this question is because I feel like I actually hear from a lot of people who haven't been playing as much, like more casual side of things. A lot of people are like, wait, isn't this like this David actually kept saying this over and over again? It's like, no, we get a new class every other expansion. We're getting a new one this time, and we're not.
If I want to see any class come into the game, I want to see effectively a Diablo 3 Demon Hunter, and have it have like the Ilaria Void component to it. That would be really, really cool. I don't know if there'd be too much overlap with the Hunter, but if they can't do that, then I would go with the Tinker.
I think Tinker is the next one.
Yeah.
I feel like any time, like I feel like I'm down by 2K here, but whenever you add in more opportunities, like you're adding in like another, like you're building a building and you're adding in a area of the structure that can potentially break.
Yeah.
Adding in an additional like talent tree or something for a class, like it's just so much potential for it to be unbalanced.
Like
that's how I
Dance
feel
Warriors.
I think that they made a really good decision to not add it. Yeah, like it was a good decision not to just force one right now because they're obviously struggling. Not only balance, but just to make the specs that they already have in the game interesting or fun. So I don't think that if they manage to solve that, and all of a sudden we have an expansion or two where all the classes feel really good, then yeah, maybe throw a new one into the mix. But I don't think that we actually do need it right now. And that actually comes with the other question as well. I think it lines up pretty decently. He says, do you guys think the WoW devs are going to be able to pull off so many systems in Shadowlands at the same time? It seems a bit like a mess to me.
Yeah, I think they'll be able to do it, but it'll be fucked up.
It'll be a rough early patch.
Yeah.
Like, I think it'll almost guaranteed be a rough early patch, but if you play WoW for 10 years, you're just gonna kind of deal with it. So, you've come to expect that, just hey, it's gonna happen.
Man, it's actually kind of scary when all of the questions, like, I would say 90% of the questions right now are, I'm confused, there are too many systems.
Yeah.
I'm scared about
that's
covenants.
Definitely a problem.
Dude, like, that is, we've been doing the show for years at this point. I've never seen anything like this before. Like, it's like legitimately a lot of questions, and they're all like, yo, what are all these systems? That is scary. That is really scary. So this is a question that's outside of that, since we've already talked to it a little bit. It says, classic question, do you think Blizzard should do something against the boosting culture in WoW Classic? It's very hard to find a leveling dungeon group with half the LFG chat being boost groups for alts.
We all have assists where we mark them.
From running dungeons for real.
Could you repeat that again? Sorry, I didn't fully understand that.
Basically talking about like the culture of boosting. It says that the LFG's like clogged up with just boosting, even in Classic WoW. Because I mean, the question is about Classic WoW, but I think this is a problem that you can see in Classic and Retail right now.
Report them. Like inside the premade group finder, it's against the TOS to advertise boosting stuff inside of it, and I'd try to get that stuff out of there. Now, obviously, that's not going to stop boosting. Is it really going to make it stop happening at all? No. I mean, like, I don't... It's such a weird issue because I don't even know how to fix it. Because, like, in Retail WoW, you're not doing leveling boosting. You're mostly doing, besides, like, freehold boosting or whatever. And, like, who cares about that to begin with? You're doing boosting. It's not against TOS? Oh, okay, guys. I want to...
We're going to go,
I was talking... Well, there isn't a premade group finder.
It's a Pagle? Oh shit, we might win.
But anyway, people were confused about that in the chat. Anyway, I'm not really sure exactly what they can do to stop that, but I do think boosting doesn't really make the game any better. But it's people are trying to make gold, and that's really one way they
really gotta fix that.
Gold, just run Scarlet Monastery with people.
Yeah.
Why do we all turn around and run?
Do you think that it does take a lot of... Because what in the question was basically like, hey, look, this is taking away actual alts that would be playing the game. Do you feel like that is true in Classic right now instead?
I think it is. I like, that's the one thing that I'm like surprised by. There's people who keep saying, well, it's kind of a weird thing because I hear it so much. I can't group with anybody because everybody's just getting boosted. Okay, well, if I'm hearing this so much...
Why did we fucking run?
Why don't you guys just group with each other?
Maybe you guys should just... I don't know. But I haven't been there. Like, I haven't leveled an alt or anything. And if I did... I'm going to be completely honest. If I did level an alt, I don't have time for it. I would get it boosted 100%. I have so many other things going on right now that I can't even think about leveling an alt. If I had one, I would have 1,000%.
Yeah, that's not a bug.
How I feel.
Leveling's fucking annoying in Classic, especially on a PvP server. And if you just have somebody level it for you, then it's way easier and it's faster. That's why everybody does it. Is because leveling in Classic is bad, and it would have reached the same meta in Retail too.
I don't think it's about it being bad. I think it's about it being long. Right, and what I said is kind of the problem. Is there's a lot of people who feel that way. It's like I don't got time for that. Like I gotta take care of the wife, the kids, mom, dad, whatever. Right, like 100 things going on. I don't have time.
So fucking far away.
So it's just one of those things where if somebody's new to the game, it can be a little bit harder to find these groups and level up and do all that way. I get it, and it is a problem, but it's just that it's so long, right? I think leveling in Classic is more fun than leveling in Retail, because when I level a character in Retail, I get a few levels in and I'm like, what am I doing? This seems like this is not something that's like in any way rewarding or fulfilling. I just feel like I'm doing like a really bad tutorial where I don't have any of my abilities, and I don't even get to really learn how to play the game until I hit max level. Whereas in Classic, like I'm ranking my stuff up, and okay, I'm putting my talent point in. There's these breadcrumbs, right? It's like I'm somebody on Reddit trying to find out what happened to Doc, right? Like there's okay, you got a talent point. Oh, 2 levels. Oh, you got some skills, right? So the whole time, in Discord. Yeah, like it's like there's a carrot on a stick, and sometimes carrots on sticks are good. That sometimes they're good, right? And at least like you have like a constant like level of fulfillment. You're getting over again. Whereas in retail, WoW, it's like, got my talent point, time to go 15 levels before I get another one. Even if it's a faster 15 levels than it is in Classic, it's just like, okay, it feels empty. That's how I feel. Even if it's slower, it's very slow.
Now, this question is slightly off topic, but not completely off topic. It says, what activities are Rich, Esfan, and Asmin going to have in store for us once everybody is in Texas?
Group OnlyFans. Just kidding. A lot of stuff. I mean, I think
it's gonna be good.
It's
gonna be good.
We've spent a lot of time at night. We've had a lot of Discord calls that have lasted very long, discussing this possibility in very extensive detail. And while we are not able to announce anything right now, you can rest assured that very soon we will.
Hands up.
There it is, too far away.
There's whether I mean, just look back. I feel like I'm tooting my own horn here, but I'm also tooting both your guys' horns at the same time.
When we get there, yeah, we'll all be able to.
So there's just gonna be a whole lot of horn tooting going on, but
good.
I feel like when we did that classic dueling tournament, maybe I'm being a little bit I don't know, like I said, like a little bit arrogant about it or whatever. I think that was one of the best events that I've seen for WoW, period. I think I'm gonna go and say I think it was the best, and I'm kind of biased because I was so we did it, but I think that when you put Asmin, Rich, and myself together on any sort of thing like that, any sort of event, like it is a recipe for success.
I agree. I agree very strongly. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I am too, man. I definitely am. We've got a lot of things coming up, and can't announce everything right now, but we will soon.
Next to this pillar.
What's the next one? We'll do a few more.
What covenant are you the most excited about from what we learned today?
I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm just gonna pick whichever one does the most damage. Like, that's all there is to it. I mean, like, if it's super minimal, then I'll go, like, if there's no difference, then I'm gonna go Venthyr. If there is a difference, then I just hope I don't have to go Night Fae.
So we don't know the answer to this yet, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, like, we don't know how I think are they called conduits, the actual items that you put in the soulbinds?
Yes.
Do we know if they're items yet that we're gonna have to like?
We're gonna loot them, and apparently they're interchangeable. But right now on beta, they're destroyed.
Okay, but they're not gonna be destroyed.
My understanding is that they're not, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, because that's a big deal. They should, if they're destroyed like relics were, actual trash. Like that was so bad. having a piece of loot that first of all muddied up the loot.
Yeah, these guys are.
We can all agree that
unhappy
was bad,
with the game pretty much all the time.
Interchangeable thing. It was a choice. Some were good for some situations, some were good for others. But you had to destroy it anytime you wanted to switch. If they're relics 2.0, that will be a very bad system.
See, I'd love to get a fucking win, just like one game that's not against the premade. You know what I'm saying?
The game, like
this one,
you know. So there's a very classic quote in game design. And it's just basically the idea that game is a series of interesting choices. Ian quoted it today, and I really hope that we don't see more systems that give fake choices, and we don't see any more systems that actually give you a choice on how you're going to lose your choices. Because that's what most of it hasn't been. I agree with that quote full-heartedly. It's one of the pillars of game design to this day.
It's not a
I
premade.
don't think that that's what we
It's
saw
a
in Battle for
partial
Azeroth, and I
premade.
hope it is what we see in Shadowlands.
Yeah.
It's a premade.
Oh, do 2 more?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
That's
How do you
a
feel everything has felt now that they've actually done a level squish for the first time in Shadowlands? The Reaper asked.
Who gives a fuck? It's good. I think that, like, honestly, so
I actually think that I actually think that that's the wrong take on that one. The who gives a fuck.
Really? Okay.
I actually think it feels. I thought that it was going to be like that, but I will disagree with you. I actually give a lot of fucks on this one.
All right.
It feels way better than I thought it would feel. I was kind of against it. I think in a lot of ways, it just felt weird to have regression. But how they've redone the leveling zones and how they've given you choice in leveling to actually experience content again, all of a sudden I'm somewhat excited to maybe level a couple of alts again. I haven't finished leveling some of my characters because I want to go through the full experience and get to level in Wrath of Lich King content again, things like that, and not have it just be long for the sake of being long. I think that what they've done with the level squish this time around actually feels really good.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you feel that way. I think that one of the most goodest things about this is that for people that don't really understand the game very well, I think there's a general understanding that WoW had 60 levels and now it has 120. And the barrier there, like the mental barrier, I don't know how many people have messaged me and they've said, oh, well, I don't know if I can get 120 levels. You know, that's way too many levels for too many stations. So, and like they don't know. It's like, yeah, okay, bro, it'll take you like 3 hours or something like that. But they don't know that. They have no idea. So to them, this is like some insurmountable thing. And I think breaking down that mental barrier that people have kind of created about it is going to be good.
I think that that goes along with the same lines of like they've done like number pushes in the past for damage numbers and stuff like that. The numbers get so high.
Got one though.
That you can't really comprehend what they are. Right, like
I
just did 50
got
million
one.
damage.
Oh, we're at the farms.
Right,
Battle.
like,
They're all about to come though.
You know numbers in general, and you have preconceived notions about numbers. So if you see like, I mean, some people might think, wow, 1,000 damage, that's a lot. But in the grand scheme of things, it's really not. Right? And the same thing, I think that sort of concept applies to what you're saying about the 120 to 60 thing. It could take the same amount of experience, it could take the same amount of everything, same amount of time, and they will just assume that it's, oh, that's not so bad, 60 levels? Sure. Even though they have no reason to believe anything about anything. They just know the number of levels they need to get.
Yeah.
So this question is it a coincidence that every added hero class has only been a melee DPS spec and not ranged?
Yeah, it is kind of weird. I wish they had done something else besides that. Things like Demon Hunter, DK, and Monk. I mean, all of these are, none of them have a ranged DPS spec.
And you know what's funny about it too? You know why it's funny? Because typically with the way that melee is actually balanced, especially in raid, there are less melee slots because range just tends to be better with all the design bosses. So every time you add a new melee hero class, then all the other people who play the other specs don't get to play, and a bunch of range go over to the Demon Hunter against them like that because it's overpowered, and it's like an easier spec to play, and then there's no room in the raid for anyone.
Yeah, they don't need to worry about ranged. I mean, like, if they do that, there'll be no more melee.
Yeah, I guess so.
You got it?
I guess so.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Arrow's no longer granting experience. I think that's an interesting little final topic to talk about. What do you guys think about that?
Wait, say that again?
Arrow's no longer granting experience.
Wait, like they no longer add the added experience?
Yeah, I think that's stupid. I don't like it. The reason I didn't like air wounds, for me personally, I didn't like them because they removed gear progression. not because of the experience gain.
Not because of the XP bonus.
Yeah, like I want them to I want there to be enchants on current gear, or some sort of like a tabard that you build up as time goes on. But
what if they made it a potion that you could stack as many times as you want?
Well, then maybe you'll get fucking banned.
I think that's.
God damn it! I knew he was gonna do that, and did anyway.
I actually didn't know that was a change that was made. I'm assuming that the reason that they did it is because they just reworked the entire leveling experience, and they feel like it's not needed.
Yeah.
The thing that I completely agree with Yasmin on what I did not like about heirloom gear, and the fact that you have one set of gear, not in a whole set maybe, but like you mostly have like one set of gear throughout your entire leveling experience, and it's just kind of like, okay, I don't have that feeling of getting a new item. I remember whenever the classic came out, and were we in deadlines, and like some 5 stamina belt dropped, and like we were all like freaking out about it because we were like,
the blue belt. We were at the ramp up to the dread ship at the very end, and I won the roll. I remember that shit so fucking clearly.
I know.
Yep.
I bet.
It's like
I bet she does now.
Like, sure, it was exaggerated because we were excited and all that. It was classic, but like that constant, again, it's the breadcrumbs. It's the small little wins that you feel along the way. That's part of the reason why leveling a retail I just want to get something new. I don't care how much better it is. Like I can be like a 1 or 2 stamina upgrade or 1 strength. Oh, I got something new, and I feel like I'm feeling progression.
Back in like the old days, I would look forward to like getting my warlock up to like I remember when I wanted to get my warlock up to 35 because I had bought Staff of Jordan for him. And I'd be able to use Staff of Jordan as soon as I got to 35. I was like, fuck.
Just so you could use it. Like, I have an epic staff in my level 30 warlock.
Yeah, and like those are things to look forward to. And like with the heirlooms, you just remove that entire gear progression of low level characters, and it's just like you're just playing the character, and that's it. You never feel more powerful whenever you get something. It's just you're doing the same thing over and over.
Get my ass whooped.
I think it's a huge part of it. I think
getting whooped in PvP. It's all graphics almost over. I remember watching next. Bowwood
and retail WoW quite a bit right now, but that's something that Blizzard has said themselves that they think.
You see me getting blown up. PvP, it's bad, man. It's bad. Here it goes.
To fix that in Shadowlands.
Apparently, LBI's broke. Does that thing?
It's like you can do it like right away.
Does that thing?
Level 8, I think.
Level 8, yeah.
Something like that.
See if I can get a win, baby.
They want to help out the new player experience quite a bit, and that's a very good thing. I think that people come in, they ask me, like, do you want to, like, I'm new to the game, I'm just not getting interested in WoW, should I play retail or classic? And I tell them, I say, look, there's plenty of reasons to like both. In my opinion, I just think that the new player experience is better in classic because it's way more simple. So I tell them, try both and know how it goes. And almost every time
3 seconds.
Come back
3 seconds.
Like,
that must been the kid. She must be awake.
I'm like overwhelmed with everything, so I just went to play classic instead.
Did she at least throw me a like?
So.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about it too. I don't know, man. It's just one of those things where it's odd to me that Blizzard decided to go in this direction because it's the exact thing that I don't care about. I don't care about the experience. The experience is fine. That's kind of cool, like being able to buy extra things to like make your character level faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on. I know obviously you've got to rank all the fucking time, and at least you've only got a couple of days or weeks left, and then you're done one way or another.
Dude, I got, what did I log out with last night? I think like 465k honor, and I'm not playing right now. Usually, like if I'm on a show or anything, I'm playing, but like I felt bad because I'll be on calls with people, or I'll be talking to someone, or I'll be on another show. And I'll be ranking while I'm on the show, and I feel like I'm taking away from the team and getting carried a little bit sometimes whenever I do that.
Well, it's like you're ranking, and then like the one time you go up against a 15-man pre-made, that's like the moment you pick up the phone, and then the queue hits.
Right. So like I told them I'm just gonna take today off, and because I want to rank. I was take Tuesdays and Thursdays off, and rank super hard on those 2 off days, so that I don't have to worry about any watching a video recap. Any of the other stuff that I do, so I can
we gotta go to a better server, man.
4 days a week.
We gotta get a better server, bruh.
Streams or WoW content instead of like rankings.
We gotta get a better server, bruh. I don't like this. Every game is against
left, it's gonna be good,
full pre-made. All we do is just fight for a few minutes and die. It's really sad.
Realistically,
it makes me sad. Makes my heart hurt. It hurts in my heart. Oh, where are we gonna go? Lumber mill? Alright, I'm with that battle. That'll be fun. We're gonna get rolled, but
we'll
it'll be fun.
Get Scarab Lord. I don't know. Scarab Lord
Maybe this guy's a garbage.
Like that lasts forever.
Maybe it's a garbage pre-made.
And if you stopped ranking,
I'd like to get a stomp on a pre-made and feel good.
I'd have to get. I still have to get bracket 3, and then I have to get bracket 1 another week. So it's a. I mean, and who knows? I might actually. I gotta crunch the numbers on it, but it might be if I get bracket 3, I get 2. I might have to get 2, which is still like at that point I might as well get 100k more or 200k or whatever else the difference is. So I don't have the option of taking a week off because it's either I lose like multiple weeks of ranking or. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. If I manage to get Scarab Lord and Grand in the same week,
if I had the ability to get Scarab Lord, I would give up everything to try to get Scarab Lord.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really super, like, I don't feel like it's like a massive press.
He's got some heals that time. Man, it feels better when you get a healer too. We still got our ass whooped though. I don't know if we even killed any of them. Maybe that warrior to begin.
For me, it's especially for like collecting mounts.
Yikes! Yikes! Hey, we're at the.
I don't know. I'll think about what I want to do.
Still got the farm. New fight coming in. Now this is the fight, and then the game will be over.
Do what you gotta do. And one more. I mean, think about it like this. One more.
We got one guy trying to ninja stables. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I like
my
it.
stream's gonna change a lot after that point. So like, as far as
yeah, baby.
I think it's gonna be fun. I think it's a very good time for WoW. I think it's it's a good time for everything, to be honest. I mean, as far as the game stuff goes, stream stuff goes. Like personally, I have a little bit of a rough patch right now, just because I'm playing so much off stream too. But it'll be worth it.
I think every single WoW player is going through that rough patch right now, right? Obviously, retail's not in the best place right now.
No, it's
Classics, you got to do a lot right now if you're getting ready to get Scarab Lord if you are ranking. But we very much have seen what the future may look like, and it's starting to look pretty good. We talked about a lot of the things today that we expect to see when we do actually get to Shadowlands. A lot of questions still do remain, so next week we're going to hopefully have even more information to really dive into all of that. And also, I mean, I just feel like the main thing is there are a lot of systems. I'm hoping that we get to test them soon and actually see how they do feel. Otherwise, we might end up getting a little bit lost in the sauce with everything that's being thrown at us. But also, it does lead to the fact that it could just be a lot more content. I do want to say thank you to SVN for coming on the show. Thank you for Adler. Yeah, dude. And I'm excited to see everything that's happening on stream. And I also do want to say thank you for our sponsor who does make this all possible. Big shout out to Party. You guys can check them out right now.
I just figured out it's free made.
All craft link. You can check out.
It is. We're dead. Oh, hey, I got full 30-second wait, baby.
That actually allows you to find.
Got that full 30-second wait.
Check out SVan. SVan is streaming like a madman always. He streams like 20 hours every single day. Be sure to check out his streams. And
like
also, we're going to be doing in a little bit. So plenty of stuff that's going to be happening soon. And
I want to get with
cannot wait to be in Texas with you guys.
It's gonna be a lot of
your
fucking
picture.
Fun. That's definitely it. Yeah, maybe in a few of these episodes we'll actually be able to do it in real life. Yeah, we'll all get together. That'll be fucking awesome. But yeah, anyway, thanks a lot for coming on. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up all my stream stuff, and Rich, I'll see you on yours.
Yep. See you in a few minutes.
All right, dude. Peace. See ya.
Rich's own son. Alright, let's see. We gotta get some kills here.
Well, what's up, everybody? It's time for another episode of Allcraft, 4th of July edition. Very excited to be doing this. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. As Asmund already mentioned, it would not be possible without our sponsor and Party. We'll talk about them just a little bit. Thank you very much for making this new graphic and helping us out with a lot of the things that we are trying to get going on Allcraft.
I almost had a heal.
A lot of stuff in the future, and Parties.
I almost had a heal.
You can actually check out
bitches like
by taking a look at the link. And now let's jump into the show. We'll talk more about party in a little bit. Preach, we haven't had you on in maybe
I don't want to
3
watch
months,
another
something like
Allcraft
that.
though, so
feels
we're
like a
gonna
long
do
time, right?
something else.
It feels like ages. How's it going, lads?
Let's see. What can we watch? What can we watch when we get our ass kicked? Let's just pause it for a minute. Figure it out in a second. Not getting enough heals, I'll tell you that. 2 minutes until res, no way. Dying too fast, that's dumb. That guy needs to die. Kill that guy. 6, 5, he should be dead. A lot of it's bad. It's bad me getting my ass kicked. Okay. Let's see what YouTube has got for me. I can go first. Let's find out what happened to the Amazon, whatever. Something happened, fam. Let's find out what it is, bruh. Let's be QAV.
This is it. Recently, it was. So I'm gonna ask, like, are you guys more excited for New World or Ashes of Creation?
Ashes.
Ashes of Creation.
Like,
Ashes
New World
looks
is gonna
good,
come
man.
out, we're gonna play it. It's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be an adventure.
Yeah.
Ashes of Creation looks good,
in terms of, like,
man.
Longevity and like what I want to play, you know, for a while, and hopefully it'll stick around and be fun to play. And I'm way more hopeful towards Ashes.
There we go. WSG.
100%.
I have to re-equip poisons in a minute. I'm about out of time too. This might be my last one, Pam. This might be the last one. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby, I love you way. Oh man, let's
getting that new MMO feeling this year. I'm feeling a bit disappointed. In this video, I want to talk about my current thoughts on New World as a whole, and why the delay is the best possible thing they could have done for the game, as someone who's spent hundreds of hours playing the game.
True. So true.
Alpha. I'm also going to talk about what I think New World needs to change and add to the game to be successful. But before we jump into it, this video is brought to you by Instant Gaming, which is a great place to compare video game prices across multiple different platforms, such as Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, and so on, allowing you to buy games for the lowest possible price via game key reselling. Every month, Instant Gaming has a giveaway via my link in the description, where you have the chance to win a game of your choice.
Wow.
So if you're a broke boy and want to save some money and win a free game, click my link in the description below.
There you go.
Okay, so a lot has changed since the last time I covered New World at the start of 2020.
Alright.
Back then the game was definitely going more in the direction of a sandbox PvP MMO, but over the course of 2020, it seems as though their focus has shifted to trying to capture the theme park PvE audience.
Which is a better idea
than their decision to switch
Let's
to
see if I can
PvP
figure
system.
out how to...
I can fucking bet, I can motherfucking bet that had to do with that fucking phase 2 PvP. Like, they thought this was gonna be awesome, and then the moment that shit actually hit, the moment that people really saw...
Shit, is it ready? Alright, good.
saw
what an video.
PvP game would be, an old school PvP game.
Woo!
Everybody was like, never mind.
Now I'm a true legend because it feels like I'm watching somebody else's watching somebody else's. It's beautiful. Oh no.
I think that's a big fucking thing that actually changed the way this game got.
Is it a pre-made? It obviously is if people are saying that. So yeah. Alright. It's a bummer, man. It hurts.
The introduction of invasions, which are an instanced PvE Horde defense type mode where you defend your settlements from corrupted monsters. It was also said in the community PvP Q&A that the game is now leaning to having more of a PvE focus. When all this information was coming out, pretty much every content creator covering this game pointed out that doing a complete 180 on your vision for a game that you've been working on for a few years, a few months out from release, would be a complete disaster.
It does seem like a problem.
This is evident in the fact that they've now had to delay the game until 2021. Personally, having played the game, I think New World has many core problems they need to address before the game has a good chance of success.
My problems with New World.
For me, New World completely shifting their focus from PvP to PvE doesn't work simply because of the game's combat system and movement. To me, on a fundamental level, the combat in New World lends itself much more to PvP than it does PvE when it comes to end-game content. If this game used a tab-target system like in other MMOs, this shifting their focus to PvE would be fairly easy. This isn't the case though. New World's combat as of July 2020 was a full-action combat system with very few mobility abilities, a relatively slow turn rate, and the choice of switching between three different weapons, each of which have 3 abilities that share cooldowns. The vast majority of abilities in New World feel incredibly clunky, as they animation lock you in place for 1 to 2 seconds without the ability to dodge roll to cancel animations.
Like the combat is what games live and die.
Dude.
Go ahead.
Oh, guys, you suck. Come on, kill the healer. Kill the healer.
Do you think is there a difference between a game being fluid and a game being responsive? Because I was reading some YouTube comments, and there was a YouTube comment that said there was a difference there, and so I'm just curious if I'm using the word fluid incorrectly.
That's annoying. Mages are annoying.
Look at this game. It just and some other games out there, like all the animations are just like very, it's like very stiff, very like stilted, just like very like I don't know. I really don't like animation locking bullshit like that. It's not fun. I just like if I press an ability, I want it to go off instantly. You know, unless it's like I'm casting.
I want a healer.
Like that's what I want. I don't want to like be locked into a goddamn animation.
Right
this isn't Dark Souls.
I think that while
responsiveness
and the clunkiness, or whatever you want to call it, are 2 different things, they're both equally necessary. Whenever I hit a button in WoW, the button happens, unless I have more than 10 people around me, and then it lags. But other than that, I hit the button, and then it happens. And WoW, that's a massive advantage
love
that WoW
this
has.
bet.
Something that Blizzard has done very well is making the game responsive and making it to where you're able to.
I'm hanging out with.
Let me think of a way to put it. Making it to where you're able to, whenever you hit a button, the thing happens immediately. The thing happens immediately, and that's one thing that I thought was really good with WoW. And
I'm gonna have to find a premade to do real PvP. This is terrible.
That doesn't have that, I'm not gonna like it as much.
This is terrible.
Dark Souls type combat system, which I think is really cool, by the way, but so far it misses the mark. My big problem with the direction of the game being PvE focused now is how do they design difficult endgame PvE content with this combat system? Typically the way action combat MMOs approach this is by giving bosses plenty of telegraphed abilities for players to avoid, but due to the animation locks and limited mobility, I don't think this approach would work with New World. I feel like every boss they design will just be a case of how many bodies can players throw at it. With all that being said though, I do agree New World needs more diverse and interesting PvE content.
I don't know why I
think
did
for
that.
small-scale PvE like open-world dungeons, the game works pretty well. It's just large-scale raid-style encounters that players associate with difficulty that I just can't see working in this game. You're never going to take...
I think that like making the game really difficult is not necessarily...
Wow, you hit me hard as
fuck. And this is something we talked to Steven about too. Where it's like the game probably isn't going to have, Ashes of Creation probably isn't going to have difficulty that's as, this looks so boring, LMAO. The thing is, the game has a lot of promise and I'm not concerned about it. So that's what I'm kind of curious about to see how things kind of started happening.
Best of the team, bitch.
Is that LMAO? Yeah, that's what he did say, LMAO, dude. I know. So what listen, I think that really... Like, you don't need
Am I there again?
for a game to be good, but at the same time,
did I ever re-queue Warzone?
That's what I just did. Very social. The game has to be very PvP oriented. And I think that's one thing Ashes of Creation is really working towards, is being a social game.
Getting there for AV, might get an AV, probably won't get it in before I gotta go.
Think that New World needs, like an MMO that's not.
Let's see what we're looking at first. That's probably a good idea.
With multiplayer options, and like with Ashes of Creation, because the world is so dynamic and you can change the world in so many different ways, and you know, other players' behaviors impact you. I think all of those things do matter, and also making the game not a PvP focused game where you can opt out of PvP is really important, because if they don't do that, you're not going to have people stream your game. They're just going to get killed constantly. Like, it's not going to be fun.
Who's gonna get killed constantly?
And then, like, the community's going to die. It's going to be super toxic. It's going to be awful. Right? And that's not what they want to have. Stream snipers and stuff like that.
Maybe it is, baby. It's probably the last one. This for sure is the last one. It's the last game, man. What are we going to do? How are we going to win it?
So I don't understand why that's the direction they've decided to take here. Another fundamental thing I dislike about New World and its change of direction is there's absolutely zero sense of risk versus reward, from there being no risk of encountering PvP due to no flagging system, very little death penalties other than time lost, to failing a territory war and losing a settlement to another faction. There's no real sense of loss in this game.
Oops,
One of the biggest things that confuses me about New World is their decision to make it a faction versus faction MMO, with there being no real consequences within that system. If you're on the yellow faction and the purple faction take over every settlement on the map, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't lock you out of services in that settlement. You can still place your house there. There's really no meaningful gameplay interactions here.
Yeah, I think this has definitely been encouraged by WoW, or like inspired by WoW, because like that sounds really good, but what ends up happening is like one faction becomes slightly dominant, and then people want to continue playing the dominant faction, and then it snowballs to where everybody plays one faction. And it's just, that's the way games are nowadays.
I might get a win, shit.
Like every PvP server basically in Classic WoW. And
it's
like,
possible.
it sounds really cool in theory.
I do not know how they're doing down there.
Actually process this and digest this is completely different.
Creates a sense of apathy. Why help a guild that you're not part of defend a settlement?
How from so far away?
You're not going to be affected either way. It makes no sense. If you don't want factions,
Shut it
you
off.
might as
Beautiful.
well
At least we got it up.
together in favor of a guild versus guild focus.
What's happening there?
At least that way there's a bit more prestige to owning a
Everyone
settlement.
left. That's
Another
what
problem
happened.
with New World is
Why?
There's no sense of identity when
There's
leveling
no
your
transmog?
character. Every character can level every weapon type to
frustrating.
max and respec to whatever's flavor of the month. Every character can level every profession, so there's no meaningful choices to make here either.
I don't like that.
And the game features instanced housing over real space player housing too, so there's no sense of pride and accomplishment in that system either.
Yeah.
Of all the changes to New World though, the biggest thing I don't understand is how they can go from one extreme to another when it comes from going from full loot open world PvP to having toggle PvP that nobody in the alpha thought was worth it. Next to the benefits to it. I can understand the decision to not go with full loot PvP 100%, but not trying to at least find a fair middle ground is just so bizarre to me.
Now we're at stables. Awesome.
For a game that
Great.
at its core was designed to have the best monster hunting spots and resources being contested. This just ties back to the game lacking risk versus reward, really.
I think that's just, again, it's because of Classic WoW. Like, you see what happened with Classic WoW, and all of these cool ideas just turn into being garbage. Like, it's a cool idea that, oh wow, you're gonna have like these really rare dinosaurs, and if you kill them, you can skin them. But really, what does this turn into? It turns into cross-faction collusion, 24-hour-a-day camping, people doxing each other because they're killing the dinosaurs at the wrong time. It's just, I don't know really what else to say about it besides that, but there it is.
So what would I personally change about New World to improve the game before release? I would remove factions and shift the focus onto guilds, give guilds the ability to declare war on each other and have open world PvP outside of any flagging or toggle PvP system for warring guilds. Not only would this not affect how PvE players play the game, but it just gives more options to players and creates a better sense of identity within the game's community for guilds. I would reduce the amount of animation lock for most abilities in the game, and make animation lock abilities cancelable via dodge roll. I'd also increase the iframe window for the dodge roll too, so it has the fluidity of Dark Souls. I'd allocate a large portion of settlement housing to be real space, and leave a
that would be really cool.
instanced houses.
I like that a lot.
Just so having that real space housing is something to be proud of. Once again, to create a sense of identity. If everyone has access to everything in an MMO, it's no longer cool. Scarcity creates value.
Well, you don't have people interacting with each other. People will not interact with each other unless they
so many people on the road.
Each other. And that's the issue, is that if you don't force the interactions, they won't happen. And Retail WoW is an example. Classic WoW all but force the interactions with like having group quests and everything like that. And there being such a scarcity of quests that if you didn't want to just sit there and kill boars for the next 5 hours of your life, you had to do this.
I'd get rid of the toggle PvP system and find a better middle ground. Maybe some kind of power system where you can find up, maybe a criminal or prison system, or even an area of the world like RuneScape's Wilderness. I don't know, but some middle ground from the extreme of pretty much having no open world PvP with the current system needs to be found to make the world feel dangerous. The game straight up just needs more endgame content, both PvP and PvE.
That's where
literally
all
you do
fail.
at level 60 is complete your level 60 legendary quest.
Like, all MMOs have good leveling, almost. Most MMOs have good leveling, and like the leveling experience is good, but the moment that you hit max level, it's like there's nothing to do. Or like the things that there are to do are meaningless, and they don't really have like the same impact. Not true? Well, I don't know, like maybe for me, like it's true. But like most of the games that I see, like the end game isn't...
So we're going to the mine.
Lines, then gather and craft all day in hopes of getting good
get that mine, baby. I'm so slow.
Then later either do a 30-minute instanced invasion or do a 30-ish minute instanced
That's close. That's still close.
There's really not a whole lot of stuff to aim for in New World once you hit endgame, and this is the main reason I think delaying the game was a good idea. The way the game was initially going to release, people would have played the game at most hitting level 60 in 1 week, then spent another week looking for endgame, doing the invasions and territory wars.
And then they quit.
Then many people would have gotten bored and quit after about 2 weeks.
There it is.
The only people who would have stuck around are crafters or people wanting to progress their character for when new content is actually released.
Oh, what happened to all the people just...
Oh, they're still there. Open world. The graphics are breathtaking at times, and going around the map exploring all of the different points of interest for the first time is a hell of a lot of fun, and for the first week I think many people will love this game. Endgame.
That's what it really comes down to, is you just want to be able to play the game for a little bit, enjoy it for that little bit of time, and then after that, yeah, the game's probably not going to be that great. But overall, I think that it's a 2-week MMO. Yeah, you play it, it's a good week game, and that's it. And maybe it'll get better later on in the future. Typical hype game?
Biggest issue for me, and I hope to see New World grow some balls and steer away from the design principles that have slowly infected the MMO genre such as giving everyone an anticipation trophy and damaging the integrity of the game to cater to people who are offended at the sheer thought of PvP. The game needs more risk versus reward, so systems in place to give players a sense of identity. Most of all, someone in charge that has a clear enough vision for the game that they can take these systems and interconnect them in a way that brings together both PvP and PvE players, rather than having a divided community that wants nothing to do with each other. But to achieve that, compromise needs to be found from both sides. Thanks for watching.
I'm out of range.
Yeah, I mean, like, the content of the video won't be playable content. I don't know about that. I would rather have, like, I agree with this, rather than take more time to release an unfinished product. Imagine taking more time instead of releasing an unfinished product. Can anybody imagine that? I don't know really what to say, man. It just fucking sucks. I'm so ready for a new MMO. I think that we all are. I think most people are ready for a new MMO. It's just that there hasn't been one that's come out recently that's made people feel like it's worthy for them to waste their lives over it.
How did 4 get by? Just stop him from capping. Don't let him cap. 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 Shit. Don't let him cap. Oh, he's
given the opportunity, players will optimize the fun out of the game.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, Willie here. Given the opportunity, players will optimize the fun out of a game. This is a quote from Soren Johnson, co-designer of Civ 3, lead designer of Civ 4. RTS games are basically his thing. And after having now finished writing this video up and starting to get to recording, I'm not really sure what the point of it is. Maybe it'll make you think about how you or people around you play the game, why people insist on
why did no one come by?
Because they don't want to waste their fucking time. That's why. It's actually pretty fucking simple. Players optimize fun out of the game because what they enjoy is being fun. Like, once you know that you're wasting your time, it's like the facade of it being a game fades away, and then you just realize that you're wasting your time and handicapping yourself. It's like a weird, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I can't speak for myself here. That's the way that I perceive it.
The World of Warcraft has changed in the direction that it has over the years, so make of it what you will. Let's start off with some words from Ian. Has it cost us? It doesn't need an introduction, I think. Today, people are almost trained to min-max. The community pushes people in that direction, especially.
Oh my god, what am I retarded?
It's not your preferred playstyle. The people who may want you in your group or may not are holding you to some of those standards. Once it's knowable, you are expected to know. Sid Meier, the grandfather of the Civilization series, once claimed that it's a developer's responsibility to protect the players from themselves. People will gravitate towards what makes them succeed.
And that's why, again, like, this is why, like, what that guy just said, let me just pull up that quote so you guys can see it again. This quote right here is exactly why I think Covenants are going to be bad at BFA, is because Blizzard is not protecting the players from themselves. They're saying that we are going to create this system and everybody's going to play it in the way that we believe, even though there's no reason for them to do that.
People gravitate towards what makes them succeed, even if it isn't remotely.
Like going to college.
If it lets people win, people will win. So when Sid says developers must protect the players from themselves, and Ian says that people are trained to match, what happens if you take those two things and throw them both together? Well, let's take a nice pointing question from Classic in the honor and ranking system, and how it was interacted with in 2018 when it first came out. The goal and essence of the honor system is very simple: earn as much honor as possible. That is what ultimately leads to a win, that being your rank. From an RPG point of view, this is all about one player earning as much glory as they can on the battlefield for their faction and being handsomely rewarded. In reality, the most efficient grind is absolutely terrible for players. Long hours, forced pre-made, bracket stacking, phase 2 open world camping, and then inevitable drama around bracket breakers, and this has gone on.
Oh dude, we have bracket breakers in Faralina now, and we've had it for a while, and there'll be like one guy that gets off his medication or something, and he fucking decides that he's not gonna listen to the Rankier Discord anymore, and he just decides, what the hell, they think they're gonna tell me what to do? I play this game all day, I do whatever the hell I want.
Couldn't have been gayer, bro.
24 hours a day. I get my brother to play my account too. They can't stop me. I miss America. I'm a farm up 200,000 honor a day. I'll be bracket 1 all fucking year. And you know, these guys, and like it goes on for like 3 days usually, like these guys, and they farm out like a bunch of honor on the first day. And it's like, oh shit, this guy might actually break the brackets. But by like the 4th day, he's like, ah, yeah, fuck it, no, it's whatever. You know, and like, so nobody actually really breaks the brackets hardly ever. But there's a lot of people that like, they stop doing it. And I got other shit to do. You know, it's not a big deal. And yeah, sounds like Asmund. Well, that's really what it comes down to is like people are going to, they will optimize scrum, right? And like phase 2 PvP is another example of like Blizzard introducing a system like that. And the system itself, the way you win in the system is by doing something that's not fun. And I think that's fundamentally what
that's so gay. There was nobody to throw a heal.
That the best way to do something is not fun to do. So, like, for example, the best way to farm Azerite gear is to do islands. Well, islands aren't fun to do. Like, for example, if the best way to farm gear or something like that was to push the highest Mythic Plus keys possible, then it would be more fun than just the meta being revolving around doing, you know, dungeons over and over and over and hoping for, like, a Titan Forge or something like that. And I think that's really what the problem is that Blizzard doesn't want to have capstone like high-tier rewards. So what they have instead is they have like a benchmark reward structure where there's like a diminishing return that just like fucking it just levels off really fast with like Mythic plus 15 versus 16.
And I have no idea what's telling me.
What happens with that is that you have systems that basically reward people for repetition and not necessarily for improvement and not necessarily for enjoyment. It's just based off of repetition and engagement in the system.
I can't do that yet.
Some months before you can move to high rank. Could PvP just be solid through battlegrounds? Yeah, sure it could. But this is a system that fails to protect the player from themselves. And the mathematical min-max for honor is just an awful in-game experience. Has anyone even been rank 14 for more than 1 week in WoW's history?
I hope
Maybe
not.
on a super dead realm. How about this, once again from Ian? It's often claimed that players are better at the game than they used to be, but there hasn't really been any change in skill so much as tremendous leaps forward in our ability to analyze and measure performance.
I disagree with that. I completely disagree with that. Like, I think that's completely untrue. That's not true. I don't know how he says that. Like, because it's just, I don't know. Like, I don't think that's true. We understand the game better. Like, players have better computers, so they're able to like push the buttons in a better way. Like, yeah, you still have some people are obviously better. Yeah, as a comparative statement, not absolute. Well, there hasn't been much change in skill, but there hasn't really been much change in skill. I think that there has. I really think that if you looked at a player from 2006 or 2007, and then you put them in a group today, and you compared their performance with like a classic player today, that it would be a completely different universe. Like in terms of mechanical ability.
He lost.
Like backpedaling was not known to be bad. And is this analyzing and measuring performance? So like the analyzing, I don't know. Now I'm gonna have to get into the fucking statement. But I think
so many at the farm.
Than they used to be. One way or another. Understand the mechanics way more now? Yeah, I'd say so.
You can find so many sites, videos, spreadsheets and guides on gearing, enchants, consumables and tactics to better my character. My performance in raid is accurately measured against others through details and Warcraft logs. In game, DBM tells me when a boss does something. Azeroth Autopilot tells me where to go to level up. Theatrics Plus sells my trash items to vendors. An item rack changes.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
World of Warcraft's hardly the only game out there either that has been sold, so to speak. In fact, some games
I hate the fucking range on that.
Difficulty and player learning as one of the key pieces of enjoyment from them, the likes of Dark Souls, Neo, Bloodborne, or more strategy-based games like StarCraft 2 or Factorio. No matter the game, no matter the genre, the meta will be formed. That must be adhered to when completing a high level of play. And at the most extreme end of the meta, this is where you start with speed rush. One premade tactic, which is the fastest run, is the goal at the end of the game now. The entire ESA formed around the communities from
Come on, guys. Let's not lose this at the end.
I actually really like the analogy that
What happened?
Between like speedrunning different games and creating metas, because there's definitely a meta that's built around the game whenever it starts being speedrun, and I think that's exactly what ends up happening, is that people are ending up speedrunning the game, and that's how you develop a meta for that game itself. It's like in Super Smash Brothers, for example, you have a meta in Super Smash Brothers, and that game's been out for, you know, a million fucking years. So it's what's going to happen no matter what. I think that developers that design games with this and like hoping that they're going to be able to like stop this from happening are stupid. I think it's a misguided decision, and the only way really to make it happen and like make it not be a misguided decision is to, I think that's the best way to put it, is to just rebalance things.
Little corner of the internet in Classic. Given that the content is not hard, speedruns have become the main attraction here too. Notice how in retail, nobody really cares who has the fastest clear time for the last boss. It's always been about who can do it first. In Classic, being able to clear it in one day is a given. It's who can do it faster. And as with any meta, once you compete, you have to conform. Remember when Classic first came out and there was the whole race to world first thing? Yeah, Apes, a guild, pretty much nobody outside of the private server scene knew of just popped up and completely snatched all the competition out of the water. The same could happen for TCC guild as well. These are guys who have perfected that meta over and over, server after server.
To be fair though, I don't think a lot of other guilds, like for example, Method wasn't competing for world first in Classic WoW. They were just doing that so they could capitalize on the name and get people to watch their stream. It was basically clickbaiting. That's what they were doing.
Remember when Joker got world first level 6 and had 300,000 viewers on Twitch watching him polish off those last few levels through AoE farming? And now today AoE farming is still more or less the go-to for mages, even without layers. And unlike retail, I think playing to the meta at a reasonably high level is actually a lot more accessible in Classic. We aren't talking about stacking 20 Grand Marshal warriors with full buffs and War Chief's blessing here, but having the majority of your raid show up with decent gear, correct stats, enchants and world buffs, most consumables, you would have been a literal god in vanilla, rolling up to a raid after all this preparation and blasting through it in less than 1 hour and saying, wow, that was easy, is the expected outcome. It's like going into a test with a sheet telling you all of the answers, and it's as simple as putting the correct answer on the correct line. Of course it's going to be easy. Whilst the guy next to you doesn't have any of these answers at hand, he's going to struggle and learn a lot more. One more quote from Soren Johnson here. The player cannot be trusted to play the game in a fun way, but rather a fashion where they will play better. Some would argue that the feeling of doing well in a difficult video game provides a kind of enjoyment, which is true. However, I'd argue that this is only a feeling many players have when they've been playing the game for a while and they struggle with it.
Oh my god, why doesn't it work?
It's good to know when you're getting better at something you once found challenging. If there was no challenge to start with, it's unlikely that any such feeling would be experienced. It's boring.
Just like retail WoW. The game's not challenging at the beginning. You never get to the point to where you're able to overcome obstacles because the obstacles are designed for you to overcome them. They're a joke. Like, it feels good, for example, in Dark Souls 1, whenever you go back to the Undead Burg after you get gear in Anor Londo, and you can just one-shot everything, and you can just kill anything you want, and you just do ridiculous fucking damage. You're going down to Lost Isolate, and you're fighting the same bosses that you fought as the first main boss as trash mobs now. You feel like you're progressing and you're making progress. And in retail WoW, you don't give players that sense of disempowerment. And if you can't empower the player. The player begins empowered. And if the player begins empowered, then they can only lose power later on in the game. It's the worst type of learning structure possible.
Because the game is too easy, and of course some games aren't supposed to be challenging and enjoyment comes from other elements. I'd argue then that the feeling of doing well in a game does not correlate to enjoying the game. You know when you hear about a new game coming out and you go out of your way to avoid spoilers? Yes, they're often story-driven spoilers, but you want to go into it completely fresh and see everything new firsthand. I bet you did the exact opposite with Classic, right? You wanted to know as much as possible. I know I did. I mean, I did a whole series on each class. How can I say I didn't want to know as much as possible? And I wouldn't have changed it If I didn't do it, I may not be here saying this right now, but it's just interesting stuff to think about in my opinion. Enough about that, let's move this random ball of thoughts to the social aspects of Classic. Many players attribute the downfall of World of Warcraft to the removal of in-game opportunities to socialize with your fellow players. Yet, after seeing how many people interact with Classic, a game that very much forces you to be more social, I'm entirely sure that's too true. Retail undoubtedly has less chance to be social. There's various queue systems that will travel with portals, flying and numerous teleportation items, whereas in Classic it can take literally half an hour to get to dungeons sometimes. You must find or scrape every single group you're part of, and then you have to trade with other players to get items created. Even then we have a much different player dynamic than we did back in 2004. Back then your computer was probably only capable of just running WoW by itself. You almost certainly didn't have a second monitor to watch stuff on. You didn't have Netflix, you weren't sitting on Discords with...
That's actually true, yeah, you didn't have a second monitor. I never realized like how much that actually helped you farm more easily. Because you have like that second monitor and you just sit there and fuck around, you know what I mean? I think that's much better. Yeah.
Two of them makes it tough.
Friends, you weren't talking to people on Battle.net or anything else back then. You were just playing the game, so in some ways all this time
where am I at? It's so far down. I got 2 bases out, so...
It was far more novel talking to strangers online during vanilla, and you were more inclined to have random players to play with again. Also, smaller servers as well, so finding really good players was super rare.
Oh well, we got it. We did it. We got her done, baby.
Consider that for a moment.
People
in retail today, most of the content doesn't need you to speak a word to another player. If you aren't doing high-level arena mythic boss or
you don't get money for it.
People say this
That's a tremendous
bummer.
bummer.
In Classic, it requires next to no communication or information to be passed.
Oh, I can't. Oh, you're a dessert. That's alright. It is what it is.
You can listen and follow. Only really premades could require a mic in PvP. In fact, I think it's harder to have guild-wide social interaction when you need up to 40 players. 20 on retail is a lot more manageable. I personally raided a lot during the 10.
I'd actually disagree with that. I like having the 40-man raids. I enjoy having 40-man raids and having all the people get together and talk in Discord. I like 40-man raids a lot more personally. And yeah, the same exactly, man. I think that's fucking amazing.
Days in Cataclysm, and I like that even more. Bigger isn't necessarily better from a social standpoint, and over time Blizzard have streamlined the downtime in WoW, finding groups, moving to dungeons.
Alright, yeah, I gotta go, guys. It was fun. It was fun, it was great. I'll catch y'all later. Time to do work.
Another thing about Classic, we have